to a confusion when the jury left and the defense and the Commonwealth was making their arguments in regards to whether or not they wanted to, either wanted to or don't want the defense's witnesses to testify. And this has to do with three expert witnesses that apparently was brought upon a week before trial. And so the Commonwealth was saying that's not fair because this was very, the way that it was done was untimely because a week before trial. And it's not like we're just looking at the reports that the defense experts are generating, but we have to go through their publications if they testified before and see how we can rebut them properly. But what I wanted to focus our attention to was what the Commonwealth said.
Known that this was going to be an issue and they were going to allege this particular type of fracture, we would have endeavored to get another expert in replace of the doctor who treated her at Brigham and Women's. But we didn't know that this would even be an issue until a week before trial. And again, this letter is dated July 26th, and it doesn't tell us which records, which reports, or which, what medical journals or training or anything that these opinions are based on.
Well, that can be done by voir dire. I mean, the Commonwealth has at least inferred through their case that this was not a serious suicide attempt, right? I mean,
Yep.
And there's questions about whether or not somebody's hanging outside the window or not.
Oh, I just noticed she said no.
And so why wasn't this an issue that the Commonwealth could have anticipated would come up?
The position of the Commonwealth isn't that it wasn't a serious suicide attempt. It's that the methods that were chosen were insufficient to achieve the goal. And the reasons for that, we would argue in our...
It isn't a suicide. So when I heard about this, I was very, very confused. And I was like, I thought they were trying to say this entire time that Lindsay was faking the suicide, that the injuries were not very serious, that Lindsay knew exactly what she was doing. So she's going to have her... the people that treated Lindsay, she's going to have them testify. And it seems like they're going to be able to clarify for us. That's what she said. So there might be an angle here that I'm not seeing that, because when she said that, honestly, it just didn't really make sense to me off the bat. But maybe, when we're being patient and we listen to more testimonies put on by the Commonwealth, maybe everything will finally come back all together. Because I will say in the past few days, there has been some hiccups in terms of I was genuinely confused how this was helping the Commonwealth in any way, especially the last 2 days, especially yesterday. I know that yesterday they were trying to probably get in testimony that Lindsay thought that Dawson was difficult to deal with, even though the post was from, 2 years before the killings happened, or that Lindsay was fine. She was able to function, do her day-to-day stuff with her mom duties, drop off the kids, pick up the kids, take them to the doctor if they needed to. But while we were getting those types of testimonies, we were also getting in lots of overwhelming testimony about what a wonderful Lindsay was as a mother, as a nurse. How there was remember how maybe the inference was that Lindsay didn't want to go back to work because she didn't feel like it. She wanted to just be a stay-at-home mom. But no, we heard from testimony from someone that said that Lindsay was was very passionate in nursing. She was really good at it. She excelled at it. She cared about her patients, and nursing was her calling. So I don't know if the Commonwealth thought, hey, if we call these witnesses and their testimony might not help us, well, at least it came through us and we can control the narrative more. And maybe this might confuse the jury a little bit and think that if the Commonwealth is calling these witnesses, there must be a reason why these testimonies are good for them. I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. I think for the most part, a lot of us are like, oh, I don't see how this helps you, but okay. Now, today, attorney Kevin Reddington has already previewed that we're going to hear from possibly Dr. Gelada, the doctors at McLean Hospital. These are the doctors that treated Lindsay. And so there is a civil lawsuit right now that Patrick and Lindsay has filed separately, alleging that these doctors did not follow maybe the standard of care of taking care of Lindsay, and that Lindsay really fell through the cracks. But again, these are different health providers. Some of them didn't really communicate with each other. They weren't working at the same hospital. So there was that consideration of whether or not Lindsay was doctor shopping. Was she trying to get certain prescription? Was she that controlling? Did she think she knew better than the doctors, right? There was also whether or not Lindsay was she addicted to benzos? Was she not taking her medication as prescribed. So these are a lot of things that we are thinking about when we're looking at a case like this. And so far, I don't think that the Commonwealth was super clear about what it is that they want to prove out there. I feel like we get these little driplets, these small little information here and there, and it's like we're trying really hard to put the pieces together for them. I just feel like some of these lines of questionings maybe should be more direct, so the jury and us, we're not sitting here guessing, right? Or maybe this comes across very clear to a lot of you guys, and to me, I'm just like, I don't know, man, this is kind of confusing. I think the more clarity you offer to the jury, I think the better it is, because when it comes to deliberations, you'll remember just how clear the Commonwealth's theory was, or the motive and the evidence that backs them up, rather than thinking back and thinking like, oh, well, I do remember they put on this witness, but what were they trying to say again with this witness? Like, oh man, like, were they trying to say that she wasn't taking her medication? Were they trying to say that she was like addicted to benzos? I don't really remember, because I remember it was kind of hazy. I don't know. Anyways, y'all, so good morning. Let's get started today. I do have to apologize, though. I do have to leave a little bit early today. I think it might be right before they break for lunch. So I won't be able to watch that with you guys. I know today was a very important day for all the testimonies, especially with what happened yesterday with the Commonwealth saying that they weren't saying that Lindsay was, faking her suicide, but it was the methods and the means that was used that didn't accomplish that. I don't know. So we're just trying to be very patient here, I won't hop on the Commonwealth and, destroy them, but I will wait and I will see, because sometimes we just need more information. So we will give them that benefit. All right. So let's get started. Good morning. Good morning. And interesting, we are going to hear from, I think maybe she works at the gym. Okay. I want to hear what the judge is going to say about the scheduling for today. Happy Friday, by the way. Hi, Rain, Alice, Shun. Hello. Dana. Oh, what's the Carol story? I reckon watching Something's Wrong with Carol. Okay. Is that on HBO as well?
Hey, all persons having anything to do with
Jenna, thanks for joining us. I'm glad that I'm catching you live. Well, hello.
Draw near and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have a continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by assistant.
Okay, so I'm going to hop on over to...
Seen, heard, or over an impartial juror concerned. Again, thank you so much for following those instructions. Again, as I always say, I hesitate to give you the schedule, because I'm, probably 50% right, 50% wrong. But the intention today, the thought is we'll probably go most of today. All right? And then at the end of the day, before I send you home, I'm going to talk to the lawyers, kind of see what the schedule is for next week, so you can plan as best you can, and also kind of see where we are in regards to the timeline and the estimate of the case. So I'll try and give you as much of that information today before I send you home. All right? So with that, we'll return to the case on trial. Commonwealth, call your next witness, please.
All right.
Commonwealth would call Kimberly Hardy as witness today.
I think witness number 55. Yeah.
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony and the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury, the matter now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant class, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may have a seat.
Watch your step, please.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up as best you can and speak into that
Aslan.
microphone, okay?
Okay.
Oh, that's good. All right. Come on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury, spelling your first and last name for the record?
It is Kimberly Hardy, KIMBERLEEHARDY.
And what city or state do you currently live in?
Cypress, Texas.
And back in 2023,
Kimberly, you had to travel all the way from Texas to Massachusetts. Oh, man. Well, thanks for coming up here.
Where did you live?
Brockton, Massachusetts.
And in 2023, where did you work?
Kingsbury Club
Where is the Kingsbury Club?
in Kingston.
And how long did you work for that?
The gym? Kingsbury Club. I think it's the gym. What's interesting is that yesterday we got to hear from so many different preschool teachers, friends, coworkers, and they all said that Lindsay seemed like a great mother, that they had great interactions with her, that she was involved in her children's lives. Are we going to continue into more testimony about that? Because I really did not think it helped the Commonwealth at all. We don't need 10 different witnesses to say that Lindsay was fine and lucid and, could communicate. I don't know. I think maybe we could have limited down to like 5, maybe 6, because all the other testimonies that come in through those witnesses were overwhelmingly, in my opinion, positive for Lindsay.
Club.
4 years.
What is the Kingsbury Club?
It is a tennis club, but it also has like a gym. It's kind of like a Y where people can come and drop
YMCA?
their kids off in the playroom and stuff like that.
Is it a private facility?
Yes.
So members only?
Yes.
And you mentioned dropping kids off. What was your role at the Kingsbury Club?
So I was the child service director, so I ran all the kids programming and the playroom.
So what is the playroom at the Kingsbury Club?
So the playroom is a room where parents can drop their kids off for 2 hours a day so that they can work out.
And what's the procedure when a parent or a guardian drops a child off at the playroom?
We have our system where we sign them in.
And that's something on the computer that logs when the child comes in?
Yes.
And it also logs when the child leaves, correct?
Yes.
Now, what's the protocol for who can drop off and pick up a child at the playroom?
So parents.
Here's the thing. The testimony that I think the jury was waiting for was people who saw Lindsay interacted with her children. Was she impatient with them? Was she yelling at them, right? Maybe we'll hear with this witness. She traveled all the way from Texas, right? We got to hear something.
Usually we say whoever drops off should be the one picking up as well, unless the parent notifies us that another parent will be picking up.
And as far as that system that you have to log the drop off and pick up, fair to say that system is geared towards the guardian who drops off and picks up?
Correct.
So it's a separate log for each child based on who the guardian is?
Yes.
Now, what is the security like at the Kingsbury Club? How do you get into the club?
Oh, you sign in. You have a key fob, and you go to the front desk, and you'll sign in.
Are you familiar with some members using like a scan app to sign in? And as far as where the playroom is in the club, where is it in relation to kind of when you come in the front doors?
It is right to the right. There is a long hallway, and at the end of the hallway, that's the playroom.
Now, is there kind of a rule there at the Kingsbury Club when you drop your child at the playroom that you have to remain on property?
Yes.
And other than the gym and the tennis courts, what other facilities are on property?
We have a pool and a spa.
I'm going to draw your attention to, one more background question. You mentioned that there's other programs that the Kingsbury Club runs for children, right? And you as the child service director were involved in that?
Yes.
Is there a particular age that the children can start participating in the other group activities?
Camp starts at 5, and at that point, too, we had tennis that started at 5, but swim lessons can start from babies.
Okay, and so is there an age limit to the kids that could be in the playroom at any given point?
Typically, we only take 3 months old up to like age 10. Normally, they don't want to be in there.
And then you said that the time limit is 2 hours per day.
Yes.
Is there a schedule or sign up in advance, or was there one in 2023 if a member wanted to bring their kid into the playroom?
Yes, but in 2023, parents normally didn't sign up in advance because we were just getting back from COVID and we had low numbers. So we just took walk-ins.
And it was a first come, first serve?
Yes.
Were you familiar with Cora and Dawson Clancy?
Yes.
Did you often see them in the playroom at the Kingsbury Club?
Yes.
And who would be the party that would drop them off and pick them up?
Mainly Patrick.
Did you or were you present in the playroom when Lindsay Clancy at times dropped them off and picked them up?
Yes.
And when Lindsay Clancy came to drop off and pick up the children, did you interact with her?
Yes.
And how would you describe her demeanor during those interactions?
She just seemed very shy.
Maybe just to focus on the time frame.
Well, that's Fair. I'm going to draw your attention to maybe the September of 2022 to January of 2023, that fall into the winter. Did you see Lindsay Clancy drop the kids off at the playroom during that time period?
Yes.
And you had the occasion to interact with her? And during that time period, in the fall to winter, what were your observations of her demeanor?
She just seemed shy. She was just, we'd come in and pick up. I would usually try to start a conversation with her, but nothing else. Yeah, just shy.
Okay. And it was only Cora and Dawson that came to the playroom?
Correct.
Were you aware that there was a third child?
Yes.
Do you know of any reason why that child didn't come with the other two?
I asked a couple times because I said that he can come in because he's over 3 months. And the answer was because they were scared of sickness.
I'm sorry, what was the objection? The answer was, you could just find out.
So this conversation that you had when you said you asked about Callan, was that with Lindsay or Patrick?
Lindsay.
Okay, and so what did she tell you about Callan?
She was nervous about colds because it was cold and flu season.
Okay, and so obviously when Cora and Dawson came, there would be other children in the playroom as well, right?
Yes.
When Lindsay would drop the kids off during this time period between September of 2020.
So is that like a small little thing that's going to come in that the Commonwealth is trying to point out where it's, hey, she was nervous about baby Callan getting the cold or the flu. That's why she didn't want to bring him to the Kingsbury Club and therefore overprotective mother. Right? I feel like we're getting a lot of instances where we're like, okay, we're getting some information. And are they just asking about it because goes into their master motive?
22 in January of 2023. Did she ever tell you what her plans were at the club?
No.
Did you see or make observations of how she was dressed when she dropped them off?
Yeah, she had workout outfits on.
And would she come back before the end of that 2 hours to pick the kids up?
Yes.
Did you notice anything different about her when she came back to pick the kids up during this time frame?
No.
Was she ever late picking them up?
No.
Did you ever learn that she had left the property after bringing them to the playroom?
No.
And that is a very strict rule at the club, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're waiting for, did Lindsay drop the kids at the Kingsbury Club, but then left the property?
Do you recall the last time that you saw Lindsay Clancy and Cora and Dawson at the Kingsbury Club?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when that was?
In January.
Would it have been closer to New Year's or a few weeks into the month?
I think it was a few weeks in.
And how is it that you remember them on that particular day?
Just their usual selves. They came in, played, nothing.
Okay. If I tell you that Cora and Dawson were dropped off by Lindsay on January 13th at 9:07, does that sound right to you? Mm-hmm. And that they were also dropped off on January 17th at 9:30 a.m. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Did Cora and Dawson usually come in the mornings?
Yes.
Around that time? And what time does the playroom open?
We open at 8.
And what time does it close?
It closes at 2.
Did you ever have occasion to see Cora and Dawson in the playroom during that time, September to January, later in the afternoon?
Sometimes, not usual.
Is it fair to say that generally when Lindsay dropped them off, they came in the morning?
Yeah.
And is there anything about that day with Cora, that last day that you saw her, that sticks out in your mind?
Not that I recall.
What kinds of things would the kids do in the playroom?
They liked to color. They would play with the dolls, dress-up toys, the cars, the train set.
And on one of those last days that you saw Cora, did she draw a picture?
Yes.
Did she take it with her, or did she give it to you?
She left it.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move to admit the Kingsbury Club records as the next exhibit.
Right, they may be admitted.
Exhibit 218.
Thank you. Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, counsel.
Morning.
Good morning.
So you saw Lindsay with her children, dropping them off, picking them up on a fairly regular basis. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Patrick, of course, right?
Yes.
Did you ever see how she acted around them? Or did she appear to be, happy to be with them and take care of them? Or did she appear to be angry with them at all?
No, never angry. She seemed happy to be with them. She always picked up on time, and they were always excited to see her.
And you certainly weren't close enough to her to know if she had any personal issues in her life as far as her mind or her body or anything like that, right?
No.
You would be aware, though, that on occasion people are advised by their doctors or psychiatrists to exercise. It might be a good thing for them to do. Is that?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
Right. I was wondering that too. So, I mean, it was mentioned that Lindsay was trying to get into this like beach bod thing. And I don't know, they're trying to say, like, look, she was trying to exercise. She was trying to get her life back on track, and the kids were ruining it. I don't know. It seems kind of weak, but
No, thank you.
I keep saying, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like I should just get a shirt that just says, we'll see.
Thank you. You may step down. Thank you.
I think I've said like a million times in this trial. So we're just taking these notes, these notations in our mind, and we'll see if it goes anywhere.
Come on, we'll call Sarah Carney, please.
All right, Sarah Carney. I was wondering if she was going to testify. I don't know why, though, because I think she'll just say the same thing that her husband testified to. I didn't see anything different when the police interviewed her. Sarah Carney is the wife of, I forgot his name yesterday, the guy who testified. And y'all said he looked like a finance guy.
Good morning, ma'am. Stop right there. Raise your right hand. Please.
Good morning. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you have you shall give to the court and the jury?
Are Sarah Carney,
And how do you spell your first name?
Sarah,
And the last name?
Carney.
And what city or town do you live in?
Duxbury, Massachusetts.
And are you married?
Yes.
And who's your husband?
Kyle Carney.
And do you have children?
Yes.
How old are your children?
5 and 2.
Do you know the Clancy family?
Yes.
And how do you know them?
Went to school with Pat and then met Lindsay later.
And so when you say you went to school with Pat, fair to say you went to Salve?
Yes.
And did you know Pat before school?
No.
And did you become friends with him in school?
Yes.
When you graduated from college, did you remain friends with Patrick?
Yes.
And is your husband also a friend of Patrick's?
Yes.
Did they meet at college or just someplace else?
In college.
At some point, did you come to know Lindsay Clancy?
Yes.
And do you remember approximately when you were introduced to her?
A few years after college, maybe 12, 13 years ago.
And where were you living then when you first met her?
Boston?
Okay, how about Pat? Was he living in Boston as well?
I believe so.
And what was your relationship like with Patrick after college? Were you close?
Yes, friends. Close.
And as he began a relationship with Lindsay, did you become friendly with her?
Yeah.
Did you have that same relationship with Lindsay that you had with Pat?
No.
As time passed on, did your families remain friendly?
Yes.
And eventually, both your families ended up living in the same town in Duxbury, correct?
Yes.
What was the relationship like between your families starting in 2019?
Close, friendly, went to the beach together, had them over at our house, went to their house, that kind of thing.
And as the Clancys started having children and you started having children, did that remain throughout?
Yeah, probably fewer times, just because we're all busy, but yeah.
And were you around after each of the Clancy children were born? Meaning after Cora was born, you were still part of Patrick's life?
Yeah.
Did you notice any changes in Lindsay after Cora was born?
No.
And how about Dawson? When Dawson came along, did you notice any changes in Lindsay after Dawson was born?
No.
And then Callan, who was born in May of 2022, were you still friendly with them and still doing those trips and going to each other's houses,
Yep.
beach trips?
Yep.
So did you notice anything different about Lindsay after Callan was born?
No.
Do you recall observing Lindsay or seeing Lindsay when she was pregnant with Callan?
Yes.
Fair to say she was a pretty active person?
Yes.
And even in pregnancy, being very pregnant, she was physically active?
Yes.
Do you recall what kind of exercise she did or seeing her exercise? Or
I remember her posting videos of her exercising and the kids were in the background.
And where would the exercising happen? Could you tell where it was in their house?
I'm not sure.
Have you been inside their house before?
Yes.
So you know that they had the living room area on the first floor and basement area was
I have to
finished?
assume it was the living room. I've never been to the basement.
Okay, so in that video, what did you observe the kids doing in the background?
Playing on the couch, playing with toys.
And when you observed this video, fair to say it was kind of like a beach body type exercise?
How can you tell if it's a beach body exercise? You could still be working out on your abs and it might not be a beach body exercise. It could be any exercise. I don't know. Like, how is she supposed to know? Like, yes, that is a beach body exercise. You do the abs 3 times, 4 reps. How are you supposed to know?
Sure. I'm not sure what that means.
Did you see any equipment in the video, like workout equipment?
I don't recall.
Do you recall previously indicating that you saw the kids playing with exercise bands in the videos?
Sure, if that's what I said. I don't recall.
I have it slightly sped up, so it might seem like her responses are short, possibly. That probably factors into it.
Now, I'm drawing your attention to the summer of 2022 and the fall of 2022. Were you still going to the beach and getting together with the Clancys?
I believe so, yes.
Other than going to the beach, what other kinds of activities would you invite them to do with your family?
They probably came over to our house once or twice.
Someone bring a dog in the courtroom? It sounded like I heard someone barking.
Throughout the course of the fall of 2022, did you notice any changes in Lindsay's physical health?
I think I saw her one time at drop-off, and she just seemed thinner, more
You
frail.
seemed, I'm sorry.
Thinner.
Okay. Did you ever have a conversation with her at drop-off about your observations?
No.
How about just observing her overall demeanor? Did you notice anything change about her in the fall into the winter of 2022?
No.
Did you ever have any conversations with her about postpartum depression or sleep issues?
No.
And I'm going to draw your attention to...
But it seemed like even though they're friends, it seems like she was closer with Patrick. And so Lindsay and her probably didn't feel like that sort of connection where Lindsay would divulge information about her suffering with postpartum depression or anxiety or anything like that, right? That could be a possibility. Maybe they just weren't close like that. Has Lindsay taken the stand? If Lindsay takes the stand, it will be when the defense presents their case. So we're still in the state's case right now where they call their witnesses to testify. I don't think Lindsay will testify. And the way that this is going, she might not have to. We'll see what the doctors say.
January 22nd, 2023. That was a weekend. Do you recall that weekend?
Yes.
And did you have something happening at your house that your family invited the Clancys to?
Yes, we had a bonfire.
And who came from the Clancy family to the bonfire?
Pat, Lindsay, Cora, and Dawson.
Where was Callan, if you know?
At home with Lindsay's parents.
Did you have the occasion to speak with Lindsay on that day?
Yes.
And fair to say, prior to that day, you hadn't really seen her much that winter?
Correct.
Were you happy to see her that day?
Yeah.
And what were your observations of her that day, her demeanor? Did she seem normal or off? Or
Just quiet, but fairly normal.
did you have the occasion to speak with her, just you and her?
Yes.
And was that outside of the bonfire or somewhere else in your house?
In the kitchen.
And did you ask her anything?
I was talking to her about my daughter's allergies, and then the conversation lulled, and I asked her how she was doing.
And what did she tell you?
Good.
And did you have any further conversation or ask any follow-up questions?
No.
Why didn't you follow up?
Because I figured if she wanted to explain or deep dive into it, she would. Wasn't going to press her.
And but on this occasion, she just said fine, and you kind of moved on to the next topic.
Yes.
And throughout the course of that day or that afternoon that you were with her, did you notice anything change about how she was communicating with you? Like, did she start to talk faster or seem confused in any way?
No.
Was there anything that happened at that interaction that made them abruptly leave?
No, I think it was like nap time for the kids.
Okay. And was that the last time you saw or talked to Lindsay?
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
All right. It's ready.
Wouldn't the Commonwealth already know the answer to that? It's like, did you know that something happened that made them abruptly leave? It's like, oh, okay, what happened? Oh, it's just nap time. Oh, it was just nap time. So, I was kind of like wondering whether or not we really need to bring Sarah Carney to testify in the stand because her husband already came and testified, and they talked about the January 22nd. This was a few days before the kids were killed. I guess what we brought in through her was that Lindsay never talked about suffering from postpartum depression or sleep issues. But then it was established by the Commonwealth that she was closer to Pat, so they might have not had that sort of relationship, even though they took family trips together, kids hung out together.
So, what was the time frame that you knew Lindsay, not Patrick? I know you were very friendly with Patrick.
Yep.
What was the time frame that you knew Lindsay?
12 years.
And would you say that you were close to her, or were you social, or how?
Social.
Social.
Yep.
And on occasion, you had the opportunity to be in their house, the upstairs portion of it that you indicated, never in the basement of the office area, right?
Right, just the kitchen level.
Okay. Can you tell us, like in the fall of 22, approximately how many times you and your husband, Kyle, saw Lindsay and her husband, Pat, together? Not Kyle with Pat or you with Pat.
I think it was just the one time at drop off.
One time at drop-off, okay. You had occasion to ask her advice about the babies and things of that nature on occasion, did you not?
Yep.
She was always helpful to you or forthcoming?
Yes.
So Attorney Reddington is basically saying that, oh, you only saw her like them once at fall 2022 because of the drop off. Okay, well, maybe Lindsay didn't have multiple, opportunities to just talk about how much she was suffering.
And this, the last time you saw her on January 22nd, this was a bonfire, is that what it was?
Yep.
And that was where, in your backyard?
In our backyard.
Was it in the daytime or the nighttime?
Around lunchtime.
Lunchtime. And do you
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I thought the bonfire was at night, because you have a fire, it's nighttime, and then that's why the kids had to go home for a nap. And I was like, a nap at nighttime? But I guess it was just really cold then, and a bonfire would still be nice. So not more for a source of light, but a source of heat when you're, having your cold fall season. Or no, this was in winter. Yeah, this is winter time.
recall how long they were there for the bonfire?
A few hours.
And they were there with the two older kids, and Kellen was home with her parents, right?
Yes.
And she appeared to be quiet to you?
Yes.
And she appeared, to your observation, around that time frame to be thinner than what you had seen before.
Yes.
But you'd agree with me that you guys weren't that close that she would confide in you, correct?
Correct.
That's all I have. Thank you, ma'am.
Any redirect?
As far as your observations of Lindsay over the course of 12 years, fair to say she was always quiet with you.
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Let me sit down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, but if she was always quiet, then that shows that Lindsay was not willing to just talk about her personal life like that. I think that just negates why this witness is even here now. Like, Lindsay is a quiet person. She's private. And per Mr. Reddington, she's not a complainer.
Come on.
The Commonwealth would call Aaliyah Goodhart.
All right. Aaliyah Goodhart. Finally, a doctor that treated Lindsay. Maybe she will help us get out of this confusion. Wait. Witness number 57.
Loudly so the jury can hear you and speak into that microphone.
Could you please tell the jury your first and last name?
My first name is Alia. Last name is Goodhart.
Can you spell your first name for the record?
Alia.
And your last name, please.
Goodhart.
And what do you do for work?
I'm a psychiatrist.
And can you tell us a little bit about your educational background to be a psychiatrist?
I got my medical degree from the State University of New York in Brooklyn, the Health Sciences Center, and I came to Boston to do my 4-year residency at the Harvard Longwood Psychiatry Residency Program. I also trained for an additional 3 years at the Boston Psychoanalytic Institute and got my advanced training I attended the advanced training program, and yeah.
Are you licensed here in Massachusetts to practice as a psychiatrist?
I am.
Are you licensed in any other states?
No.
So you said that you're a medical doctor with a specialization in psychiatry, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work history in that field?
Yes. I've worked in several different settings. When I first started out, I was working at Beth Israel in integrated care, which means essentially that you work with primary care physicians, and if they have patients that they have questions about, they can consult you.
Oh, she worked at Beth Israel. Okay, we heard from the psychiatrist that treated Lindsay at Beth Israel.
And if there's a need, you can continue to manage the patient's psychopharm medications. And if it's simple, they can continue to do it, but you're available for them to consult with and to discuss cases. After that, I went to Emerson Hospital, where I worked on the inpatient psychiatric unit for a total of 9 years. I left for 1 year to be the medical director at another freestanding hospital. After that, I worked at the women's prison in Framingham for 1.5 years. And after that, an outpatient clinic affiliated with Tufts. I had a private practice for 2 years, and then I've been working at McLean for the last 5 years.
McLean.
And what is McLean Hospital?
It's a freestanding psychiatric hospital that is part of the Mass General Brigham system.
What kind of services does that facility offer to patients?
They have, lots of services, including inpatient,
So I guess we're not following the timeline. I thought we're going to go through like the timeline, right? So call the psychiatrist, the doctors that saw Lindsay, the nurse practitioners. I don't know if any PA saw Lindsay, and then like nurses, because I think it'll be easier to follow the timeline. But we're just jumping straight to when Lindsay was hospitalized for the 5 days at McLean in January. This was 3 weeks before the children are killed.
Patient substance abuse, trauma focused. There are lots of specializations, eating disorder programs. They have residential programs. They have partial programs. So there's a really broad width of.
And what is your role at McLean?
I work on one of the inpatient psychiatric units.
And tell us a little bit about what an inpatient psychiatric unit is.
Patients who come to our unit are referred to us by the emergency department because it's been determined that they need inpatient level of care. You can come voluntarily or you can be sent involuntarily. And once you arrive, we work with the patient until they're for a certain period of time, which isn't predetermined. It is flexible, so it depends on what's going on. And when you're on an inpatient unit, it's not just that you're seeing the psychiatrist, you're working as a team. So there are nurses, there are mental health workers, there are social workers. And the way it works at McLean is that every day you have a meeting where people discuss what's been going on, and you share any information that you have, and that kind of guides treatment. It's if I'm on the unit while I see the patient, I'm not there 24/7, but the mental health staff and the nursing staff are there, and they contribute to the assessment of the patient.
So in that team approach, when you have mental health workers, nurses, social workers that work with you, there's, fair to say, some combination of that team present all the time.
Yes, there are 3 shifts, and each shift has mental health workers and nurses.
And in that team approach, sometimes particular members of that team may have direct contact with the patient, correct?
Absolutely. Each shift, each patient is assigned a mental health worker and a nurse. They're offered a check-in, which is basically time to sit and talk about how they're doing and what's going on and if they're upset or distressed. And so, there is documentation of that, and that happens on a regular basis.
And even when members of the particular treatment team don't have direct contact with the patient, they're still there and observing what's going on, right?
Correct.
And are they trained to do that?
Absolutely.
And so even if they don't have a conversation with somebody that's documented, they're still observing to be able to report back if there's any concerns that they observe during any given shift. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that the inpatient unit at McLean, that they come from the ER departments of the surrounding hospitals?
Yes.
So you can't just walk in?
Not at McLean.
For the inpatient, in any...
Right, correct.
Okay. And so oftentimes when a patient comes from the emergency department or is referred over there, how do they get there?
They have to be sent on a Section 12 most of the time.
In Patrick's testimony, the husband, he urged Lindsay to go to the ER. He was like, no, you need to go to the ER. And so they take her to the ER. And in order to, again, like she mentioned, in order to get, in this inpatient level care, you got to go to the ER, and then they transfer you to McLean Hospital.
Well, then it doesn't make sense. So they're usually sent on a Section 12, especially if they're going to be sent in an ambulance. And then when they arrive at McLean, they are seen at the CEC, which is the Clinical Evaluation Center.
If I could just stop for you for one second. Can you tell us what?
Yeah, because I think Section 12 is equivalent to, like, if you ever heard of 5150, I think, where it's like involuntary. Is that the same thing?
The Section 12 is?
Okay. Section 12 is basically a doctor or social worker or psychologist states that you are being referred to a hospital for admission because you have a mental health condition.
And the Section 12 could be something that the patient voluntarily elects to do, right?
That's
because I think 5150 is when it's like not voluntary. It's like where like the family members and they're all concerned. They're like, hey, they need to be in a psychiatric unit. I don't want them to harm themselves.
It's Section 10. The Section 12 is it means that you have to go there. If you go there and they evaluate that you're fine and you decide you don't want to be at the hospital, you can choose to leave and they'll have to let you go.
So when you say that a person comes transported from an ER on a Section 12, they also can come transported on a 10 as well, a voluntary?
A Section 12 is required for transportation because in the time between when they leave the hospital and they're supposed to get to you, you want to make sure that something could happen and then they could leave. So you want to make sure that the physician sees them at that end and then somebody sees them at the other end to ensure that something hasn't changed. So it's evaluation.
Okay. And at the emergency department, there is a particular type of evaluation that's done before somebody is sent over to McLean, correct?
Correct.
From the Mass General, what is that usually referred to?
It's called the acute psychiatric consultation, APS. No. So the service is acute psychiatric services, and it's an evaluation. So it's a complete evaluation by either a nurse practitioner or a psychiatrist. And they go over things like, why are you coming now? What is your history? Have you ever had problems before? What's your family history? They document how you're presenting. They inquire about symptoms. And that's how they find out what medications you're on. And then based on that, they decide whether you need, there could be several options. They can recommend inpatient treatment. They can recommend partial hospital program. But the patient doesn't have to do either. If they're not unsafe, they can choose to leave. But most of the time, people take the recommendation and they present it because they are seeking help.
And unless the patient is deemed unsafe in that involuntary realm, it's their choice.
Correct.
Now, you mentioned that when they come to McLean, that they first come through and have a CEC. What is that?
It's a clinical evaluation center.
What happens at that stage at McLean?
They're seen by a psychiatrist, and there's a nurse as well. They review the history that was obtained at the emergency department, and they inquire about they actually do another evaluation, just like at the APS, basically reviewing all the history, but also asking their own questions. And if they have any concerns, they document them there.
And you said this evaluation is done by a psychiatrist?
Correct.
And when a person comes into McLean, can they come at any hour of the day or night?
Correct.
And when they first make it to the clinical evaluation center, they're always seen by a psychiatrist?
Yes.
Now, once they do this evaluation, gather all the information, do they also do kind of a physical exam to make sure that there's no medical issues to address?
Yes.
And after all the information is gathered, what is done at the evaluation center?
So they basically enter the order. May I have some water, please?
Oh, sure.
Ooh, me too.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, my fault.
Early morning.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. When a patient is evaluated or seen in the clinical evaluation center, what happens after the evaluation is done?
So they determine the level of checks that the patient should be on once they get to the unit, because there are several units. There are at least 4 inpatient units. They decide what medications the patient is going to be able to get, until they are seen by a psychiatrist on the unit.
And when you say level of check, what does that mean?
Everybody who is on the unit, there's a mental health worker assigned the task of ensuring that all the patients who are supposed to be on the unit are present and that they're safe. And the lowest level is 15-minute checks. If there's concern about somebody, it goes up to 5-minute checks. And if they're extremely unsafe, it goes to a 1-to-1.
And what does 1-to-1 mean?
There would be a staff person with the patient at all times.
And again, this determination of which unit to be on and what level of security or what level of check is done by the psychiatrist that performs that first evaluation, correct?
And we've heard testimony so far that Lindsay was checked on every 15 minutes. Or actually, no, it was the Commonwealth that brought that in when she was questioning Patrick. In the lawsuit, they were trying to say that Lindsay didn't really see anyone. It was a 3-day holiday. And that Patrick, by the time he came to go visit her, she was just in a room behind a glass door where people around her were playing with clay. And they made it seem like, they weren't really doing anything for her, that she was just sitting around not getting treatment.
Now, when a person who comes through the CEC then gets sent to the unit, do they walk to the unit on their own, or how do they get to the unit?
They're escorted to the unit.
And you said there's 4 inpatient psych units, is that
correct?
Now, when the person arrives at the unit, what happens?
They're seen by a nurse and a mental health worker. Their belongings they go through the belongings to ensure that there's nothing unsafe. There's certain things that are not allowed on a psych unit. The nurse reviews their history and takes some vital signs, sees if they need any medication, and then they show them to their room and the unit.
And again, people come through the CEC at all hours of the day and night, correct?
Yes.
So this whole process is pretty seamless and could happen at any point.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned previously that the length of stay or how long a person is on the unit or inpatient varies, right?
Yes.
Is there any sort of minimum that's required when a person comes in for an inpatient stay at McLean?
No.
And if they are voluntarily there, can they leave at any time?
As long as the psychiatrist and the team assesses them and determines that they don't pose an imminent risk to themselves or anybody else.
Now, what if they're there on a Section 12? Is there a time limit or a minimum amount of time they have to be there?
She wasn't there on Section 12. She was on a voluntary.
We haven't gotten there yet. I'm just asking background questions about the facility.
I'll allow some background questions, but let's kind of move it along.
So Section 12 entails that that the team and the psychiatrist has 3 days to evaluate the patient to determine whether they pose a danger to themselves or others. And if at the end of that time they do determine that the person poses a risk, then they have to apply for commitment, which would mean going in front of a judge who would decide if the patient should remain hospitalized or be discharged.
And if at the end of the 3 days you deem them to be safe, are they allowed to leave?
Yes.
And is there something in the field of psychiatry or in your training and experience in your time at McLean about being discharged against medical advice?
He wasn't discharged AMA.
We'll allow set the really the terms and where we are, so you can go into that.
AMA is not applicable.
If we can approach...
Yeah, I don't think you heard me.
I did hear you.
All right, well then, I'm going to allow that question. Yeah, your rights are saved.
My objection.
Yeah, I've noted it. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you.
It's a Friday, guys. Come on, it's a Friday. Weekend's about to happen. Let's be a little happy over here. Oh, boy.
Medical advice.
He wasn't discharged AMA.
We'll allow set the really the terms and where we are, so you can go into that.
AMA is not applicable.
If we can approach...
Yeah, I don't think you heard me.
I did hear you.
All right, well then, I'm going to allow that question. Yeah, your rights are saved.
My objection.
Yeah, I've noted it. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you.
I think we tend not to do against medical advice because
They'll make up later. Don't worry.
if we are concerned about somebody's safety, we would not discharge them.
So you have another...
I'm also surprised that Massachusetts in this court, it's just like speaking objections, not like, it's like objection, speculation, objection, outside the scope. It's like, hey, I don't think it's applicable, man.
Other procedure available to you if you were concerned for somebody's safety.
Yes.
And that's the procedure you described about seeking order for further commitment.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Now, when a person comes and goes through that process and is placed on their unit and settled in, what is the plan after that? How often do they see providers?
They're assessed by a psychiatrist every single day that they're there. They have nurses who are checking in with them, mental health workers. They're offered group programming and medical monitoring, vital signs. Yeah.
What types of group programming are offered to people while they're inpatient at McLean?
We offer skills groups, which are things like they're meant to teach patients skills so that they can tolerate distress, they can kind of observe their thoughts. It's meant to shore up their skills. Then there are some groups which are more just relaxed, I guess, such as going for fresh air walks or going to the recreation center, just, drawing or coloring and, yeah.
And are there other things offered to patients once they're on a unit to assist them in their care, like counseling?
Yeah, those are the check-ins, and when they meet with the psychiatrist and the social worker, the counseling happens in those sessions as well, and also by the nurses and the mental health staff.
Okay. Now, does this procedure or how it operates for any given patient, does it change if there's a holiday or a weekend?
I think they're still seen by a psychiatrist.
She's thinking if she knows.
I think. Okay.
All right. If you just rephrase the question.
I will. Thank you. As far as your experience at McLean Hospital, does the schedule change when there's a weekend or a holiday?
The group schedule might change, but the staffing schedule doesn't change.
So the availability and the mental health worker that sees the patient, the social worker that checks in, and the psychiatrist and nurse, the team all stays the same even on a weekend or a holiday?
Other than the social worker.
Okay. And when I say stay the same, it could be different individuals, but
Correct.
It's somebody from that group, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
So those don't change. Let's see.
Psychiatrist and nurse, the team all stays the same even on a weekend or a holiday.
Other than the social worker.
Okay. And when I say stay the same, it could be different individuals, but
Correct.
it's somebody from that group, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
I don't know. Now I'm confused because she said that the psychiatrist might change, but now she says that the team stays the same: psychiatrist, social worker, nurse. And then she was like, well, other than the social worker. So maybe the psychiatrist and social worker that's assigned to you is the same, but your social worker might change. I also wish that we just get more testimony from the witnesses. I don't like it when we're getting testimony from the attorneys. I just want the witnesses to respond, you know? I want them to make the clarifications.
as far as your role as a psychiatrist, how do you get assigned patients when they are admitted to McLean inpatient?
Too much leading.
It's random. There are beds that are open, and I carry a certain number of patients, and other psychiatrists have a certain number of patients, and whoever has an opening gets the admission.
Do you have to be there when the patient is admitted to have the patient assigned to you?
No.
And so do you rely on other psychiatrists to perform those tasks before you meet a patient?
Yes.
I'm going to draw your attention to a particular patient by the name of Lindsay Clancy that arrived at McLean in the early morning hours of January 1st of 2023. Do you recall that patient?
Yes.
Have you had the ability to review the records related to that patient prior to coming in today?
Yes.
And do you know where she came from?
The emergency department at MGH.
Okay. And did she come voluntarily, or did she come on some sort of section?
Again, for transportation, it's always a section, but then she signed in voluntarily, which is the section 10.
Okay. So to your knowledge, she was brought in the early morning hours via ambulance?
Correct.
And did she go through that process of the clinical evaluation center in the early morning hours, approximately 4 a.m. on the 1st?
Yes.
And who saw her there?
I think the psychiatrist's name was Dr. Outlaw.
Okay. And you're familiar with Dr. Jasmine Outlaw?
I've never met her.
Okay. But she is a psychiatrist on
Correct.
staff.
I don't know what on staff, what you mean by on staff.
Well, she works at McLean.
Correct.
And so you were able to review the information she gathered in that first evaluation.
Yes.
And in reviewing that information, did you identify that?
Wait, so did she arrive or did she saw the doctor?
I think correct.
And did she go through that process?
But then she signed in voluntarily, which is the section 10.
Hold on a second.
Okay. So to your knowledge, she was brought in the early morning hours via ambulance.
Correct.
And did she go through that process of the clinical evaluation center in the early morning hours, approximately 4 a.m. on the 1st?
Yes.
And who saw her there?
Okay. All right. Got it.
Yes.
And in reviewing that information, did you identify that the patient was identified as medically stable, right? Meaning she didn't have any acute medical issues that you had to worry about?
Correct.
And she was screened on the suicide screening?
Correct.
What was the chief complaint of the patient when she arrived at McLean?
Oh, are we not going to hear from Dr. Outlaw? I don't know what they said. Sounded like it said Outlaw.
Was unhappy. She was finding it hard to sleep if she didn't take medications.
Okay. And do you recall reviewing in the records that it was noted that she reported that she felt numb?
Yes.
And that she was having some issues managing medication?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, that she had some complaints about side effects or symptoms of medication?
Yes.
Now, when the psychiatrist and the clinical evaluation center gather the information, fair to say that it's primarily based on what's reported to the doctor by the patient?
Yes.
At McLean, do you have access to a patient's full psychiatric history or all of their records from other places?
It depends where the patient is coming from. I think that Dr. Outlaw did take an excerpt of the APS evaluation that was done at MGH, so I assume that she had access to that.
I'm sorry. Assumptions?
I mean,
I
she
can
would
ask it
have
a different way.
She doesn't know, she doesn't know.
Yeah.
All right.
As far as the full record of this particular patient that you were assigned to and responsible for, you reviewed all of the notes and information gathered by Dr. Outlaw on that first interaction with the patient, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated a little while ago in your testimony that McLean is affiliated with the Brigham
Correct.
Hospital and Mass General. So is it fair to say that those records from Mass General are available to you at McLean?
Yes.
And again, you indicated that that APS evaluation is something that's done at the emergency room, right?
Yes.
And is it common that information come along with the patient?
I don't know.
No, good. Just if you could answer that. You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay, all right, next question.
In this instance, when you reviewed the records, were you aware or did you see that there was some note to the APS evaluation from the Mass General ER?
I saw the excerpt of the APS evaluation in Dr. Outlaw's note.
Oh, no one got her any water
And
yet?
that excerpt from the APS evaluation was conducted by somebody by the name of Dr. Hogan, correct?
Correct.
And did you review a portion of the record indicating that the patient said to Dr. Hogan or reported thoughts of wishing to be dead but no plan?
Yes.
And that there was no violent or homicidal ideation, right?
Yes.
And that was observed at Mass General to have no evidence of psychosis, mania, obsessions, or current anxiety symptoms.
Correct.
So that's
I don't know. Can we hear from Dr. Hogan? Oh man, can I don't know. Sorry, the leading stuff just drives me a little bit crazy.
that the patient said to Dr. Hogan or reported thoughts of wishing to be dead but no plan,
Yes.
and that there was no violent or homicidal ideation, right?
Yes.
And that there was observed at Mass General to have no evidence of psychosis, mania, obsessions, or current anxiety symptoms.
Correct.
So that's information that you knew before you met with the patient.
Yes.
And as far as what's reported when the patient comes to McLean, and in this instance when Lindsay Clancy came, are you aware she reported during that clinical evaluation center evaluation that at the beginning of December she had started Seroquel and Remeron and started to have intrusive and suicidal thoughts?
Yes.
That she attributed that to medication?
Yes.
Okay, and so what was the plan, the first plan that came out of that clinical evaluation center evaluation of Ms. Clancy?
She was continued on the medications she was admitted on. You know, the plan, they do the checks, they decide what medical monitoring you need, but she basically was admitted and the medications were the same.
And what was the security level, or how long were the checks assigned to her after this evaluation?
15 minutes.
And was she considered to be a high risk upon coming into the inpatient unit, or was she minimal risk?
Low. Minimal, yeah.
And were you aware of what's called the provisional diagnosis that was assigned to this patient when she arrived?
I don't recall what the provisional diagnosis was, but I do know that they do assign a diagnosis. I don't recall it. I must have seen it in the records, but I think there are like 5 different diagnoses.
Just referring to what's already been marked as Exhibit 79, I'm going to draw your attention.
Yeah, I think that, like, you know, if your normal job is, for example, you're like a paramedic, you're a firefighter, you're a doctor that treated someone, and then you get dragged into court and you're not used to testifying, you're not like a hired expert to testify, or you're not someone that's used to testifying, like someone in law enforcement, then it is pretty tough. I think it's tough to testify because, one, you're not used to it. This one is a live stream. You have a lot of people that are watching, and I think it could be pretty nerve-wracking, you know? So usually when we have witnesses that testify and it's not like within their realm, I try to give them some leniency. So I think it could just be a little bit nervous. But and then I think it could also be combated and say that, like, oh well, this is your job. You know, you should know what your jobs are. You should know these definitions. You should know, all these, how things are done at your workplace or something like that. I don't know. I think it is tough to testify. So I think it's like a balance of both.
Page 24.
Thank you. Right. Okay, I think I remember. Yes.
Okay, does that refresh your memory as to the provisional diagnosis?
Yes.
And what was it?
Major depressive disorder, severe without psychotic features.
Now, what does the provisional diagnosis mean to you when you're assigned a patient?
That this is the assessment of the psychiatrist who saw her at that time.
Okay. Do you have to stick with that diagnosis, or are you free to change that based on your experiences with the patient?
The diagnosis I give the patient is dependent on what my interactions are and the observations of the team.
Now, for this particular patient, Ms. Clancy, on January 1st, when she got situated onto the unit after that first evaluation by Dr. Outlaw, are you aware that she was then seen later in that day on January 1st?
Yes.
And were you the doctor who saw her, or was there somebody else?
It was a different psychiatrist.
Okay, and who was the psychiatrist that saw her on January 1st?
It was Dr. Madva.
And that would be Dr. Elizabeth Madva?
Correct.
Again, is she a psychiatrist as well?
Yes.
And so this occurred while you were not in the hospital, right?
Yes.
And were you able to review the notes, the admission notes of Dr. Madva regarding her interactions with this patient on January 1st at approximately?
Also, she's testifying about parts of the process that she didn't even participate in yet and other people's notes, okay? It's probably a lot.
It's only 12:47 p.m.
Yes.
This is the third doctor so far. So we have Dr. Hogan, we have a Dr. Outlaw, now we have a Dr. Madva. It's like, she's probably like, these aren't my notes, but I'll do my best to try to memorize them.
And again, as far as these interactions go with the patient and the psychiatrist, it's more of a conversation, right?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, it's a conversation when you meet with a patient.
Yes.
You ask them how they're feeling, get information that you think is necessary. Is that fair to say?
It's a conversation, and also you gather information.
Okay. And so do you rely on things that were reported before?
Yes.
Okay. But you also ask follow-up questions, right?
Correct.
And as far as your review of Dr. Madva's interaction with Ms. Clancy on January 1st, is it clear to you that she did that?
Yes.
You reviewed her history with her and spoke with her about how she was feeling?
Yes.
At the time she spoke with Dr. Madva, you aware she said that she denied feeling depressed and denied any passive death wishes or suicidal thoughts, but reports feeling numb?
Yes.
She reports she can't feel any emotion other than mild anxiety at now being in a hospital setting.
Yes.
After Ms. Clancy was seen by Dr. Madva, were you aware of what the plan was regarding her medication?
Yes.
And what was the plan?
Ms. Clancy complained, there were several symptoms. One of the things that she did complain about was the numbness, and Dr. Madva did, hear that and hear her concern, and that she had been sensitive to many different medications, so she...
Well, let me ask, if I can ask a question.
You finished with your answer?
So she determined that it was possible that the numbness the patient was complaining of was a side effect of the medication she was on, and the plan was to taper that medication and observe the patient to see whether the numbness went away, and also if any other symptoms became evident.
So the medications, you were aware of the medications that Ms. Clancy came into McLean on, right?
Yes.
And what medications were those?
Seroquel at 100 milligrams a day, Valium, 2 milligrams, I don't remember the frequency, I think it was per day. And
again, we're going to let her finish.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I have no problem if she looks at the record.
Yeah.
So Seroquel, Valium, and Benadryl.
Do you remember or do you recall Remeron being one of the drugs that were described or reported by Ms. Clancy when she came in?
When we give her notes, like, this is just like a memorization test. I don't know. And this is even her interaction that she had with Lindsay. These are other doctors.
She reported taking Remeron
in the past. Yes.
Okay. And again, in that report from the patient about past history, do you recall her indicating that one of the providers had suspected a bipolar disorder?
Yes.
In your interactions with Ms. Clancy and your review of the interaction she had with other psychiatrists, did she appear to agree with that diagnosis?
Did who appear to agree?
Ms. Clancy.
Rephrase that question, please.
What?
Ms. Clancy, did
Yes.
she disagreed with the diagnosis?
Okay. The fact that she came in and she was on 100 milligrams of Seroquel or more, would that have been something that was significant to you in considering a bipolar diagnosis?
Seroquel is used for several purposes. It is not just used for bipolar illness.
Okay, and Ms. Clancy also reported coming to McLean issues with insomnia, correct?
Yes.
Is Seroquel sometimes used in low doses to address insomnia?
Yes.
Now, as far as the plan from January 1st, you indicated that Dr. Madhva
We do a follow-up, so I guess 100 milligrams is considered a low dose of Seroquel.
recommended reducing the Seroquel.
You okay, Corey? I know I'm making a lot of faces here because these questions are rough. They're so rough. I feel like there are times that the Commonwealth is trying to get testimony in, and then the witness on the stand are like, I'm trying to remember, but yes. And I'm like, no, I need like affirmative answers. Like, can we let her refresh in, the other doctor's notes, or can we have those doctors come in and testify about their own damn notes? I do not blame this witness at all. It's a lot of memorization that she has to do.
And then monitoring symptoms, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Testimonies are more like testimonies from the attorneys, okay? Too many leading happening here. I don't like it.
Dr. Madhva recommended reducing the Seroquel and then monitoring symptoms, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware that Ms. Clancy saw Dr. Madhva again on January 2nd?
Yes.
And again, that was prior to your first point of contact with her.
Yes.
As far
There was a doctor that was mentioned that is in Iraq right now, so I don't know. I could have sworn that was a doctor that was at McLean, or not McLean, that was at Brigham's though. But that was mentioned, like, oh, we had a doctor that can't testify about something. I thought it was like about the injuries because they're in Iraq right now.
As far as what you know from reviewing the record, you aware that that Ms. Clancy reported that she slept well on lesser dose of Seroquel.
Yes.
Did she report any delusions, hallucinations, or suicidal or homicidal ideation?
No.
Okay. And as far as after the check-in with Dr. Madhva on the 2nd, was the plan to continue to decrease the Seroquel?
Dr. Madhva was going to continue her on 75 milligrams, and then the next day she would have gone down to 50 milligrams.
And on these first few days
Okay, so it seems like that's why treatment was not aggressive. Because they're just like, okay, well, it seems like you're having issues with Seroquel. Let's monitor you to make sure nothing bad happens, and then we're just going to taper down your medication. So maybe that's why the treatment was not as, like, okay, we're going to put you on all these types of meds. We're going to see, what works, and we're going to diagnose you. I think they're just trying to address, like, I know that this is tough when it comes to, like, you taking different medications, because now it's, like, kind of like a science experiment, right? You don't want to just, like, change all the different levels of medication. You want to do it, like, one by one, maybe, to see the effects, right? This is, like, a very slow process. And sometimes it's very, if you're impatient and you're just like, oh, I just want to get better, it's really, really tough. So maybe this is why, McLean Hospital was more of a chiller experience than something intensive when it came to treating Lindsay.
Lindsay Clancy was at McLean Hospital from January 1st until you actually saw her on January 3rd. You're aware that in addition to seeing Dr. Outlaw at the intake and Dr. Madhva on 2 occasions, on the 1st and the 2nd, that there were also notes in the record for you to review from nurses who interacted with her on January 1st at 5:20 a.m., right?
Yes.
From nurse January 1st at 6:28 a.m.
Yes.
A nurse interacting with her on January 1st at 10:34 a.m.
Yes.
And that she actually participated in a group activity with a social worker at 12:03 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And that a nurse interacted with her and made notes at 2:07 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And that she saw a mental health worker at 9:33 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And in
Okay, hold on a second.
January 1st at 5:20 a.m., right?
Yes.
From nurse January 1st at 6:28 a.m.
Yes.
A nurse interacting with her on January 1st at 10:34 a.m.
Yes.
and that she actually participated in a group activity with a social worker at 12:03 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And that a nurse interacted with her and made notes at 2:07 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And that she saw a mental health worker at 9:33 p.m. on the 1st.
Yes.
And in relation to January 2nd, a nurse made note of interaction with her on 9:46 on the 2nd, right?
I remember there were interactions. I don't remember the exact time.
But fair to say on the 2nd, she interacted with nurses and Dr. Madhva.
Yes.
Based on your review. Now, going to January 3rd, that was the first face-to-face contact you had with the patient, correct?
Yes.
Prior to meeting with her, had you reviewed all of these notes and all of the information up to that date?
Yes.
And did you go through, again, a report of history with her?
Yes.
Were you able to make an assessment of her mental status during that interaction with her?
Yes.
And what were your observations of her mental status?
I can't, I can remember certain elements, but I don't remember. She was dressed in, she was appropriately dressed. Her speech was of normal rate and volume. Behaviorally, she was polite and cooperative. Her mood, I don't remember exactly. It's a quote, so I don't remember exactly what she quoted her mood as being. It would be in the medical record.
Yeah, one moment.
Yeah, have it out so she can refresh her memory. You can't be memorizing all this. It took months for a team to figure out medications for one of your family members, including monitoring, changing one at a time,
And
blood
just so the records
tests.
are Exhibit 79?
Yes.
All right, so those records, you'll have those with you.
So I have pulled pages 61 through 66. So I think that's your note. If you can just take a look at that and let me know when
I feel like when the jury, when they deliberate, it's going to be a lot of them looking through the records because I feel like some of the testimonies that are coming in from the Commonwealth is just like not clear cut. I don't know. They might get into their own investigatory mode.
Does that refresh your memory as to what your observations were of her mood?
Yes.
What was her mood?
Anxious.
Okay. And did you observe signs of anxiety, or did she tell you that she felt anxious?
She appeared anxious.
And her affect, did you observe it to be congruent to her mood?
Yes.
And you examined her and found her to have linear thinking and appear goal-directed, right?
Yes.
And as far as addressing kind of why she was there and what your recommendations were, ultimately, what were you trying to address or accomplish in a treatment plan with Ms. Clancy?
That's a very broad question.
Okay, I could break it down if that's okay.
Yes.
So as far as once you had a chance to sit and talk with her, what did she identify to you to be her main concerns that she wanted to address during her stay at McLean?
She did not want to be dependent on an antipsychotic medication, which is what Seroquel's class is, even though it's used for insomnia and other indications, depression. She didn't want to be dependent on Seroquel to be able to fall asleep.
Okay, and so fair to say she was very concerned about wanting to sleep at night.
Yes.
And she was very concerned about her symptomology, or what she was experiencing by way of symptoms from various medications, right?
Yes.
And that concept, or the phrase numbness, did she use that a few times?
Yes.
And again, you mentioned Dr. Madhva was concerned about the numbness with the medication. In your experience with Seroquel, is that also a common side effect for people to feel numb?
It can be one of the side effects that people can have.
Okay. And as far as the suicidal,
I think a lot of people have experienced how terrible it is when you lack sleep. But to lack sleep, let's say for like a longer period of time, like not just like, a few days, a weekend binger, or like, a week, Like to lack sleep for weeks, months on ends, and having your sleep to be inconsistent. I think, it's possible that the jury could be like, oh, well, maybe that's what caused her to do it. Like she was lacking sleep and it really like messed up mentally. I don't know. I think this could also really help help Lindsay's case.
Statements that you were aware of from the prior reports. Did you go through that with her about whether she presented to you with suicidal ideation?
Can you ask me that again?
Sure. Did you talk to her about her thoughts of suicide?
Yes.
And did you talk to her about whether she had any specific plan?
Yes.
Did she have any plan?
No.
Had she reported that she had ever had a plan for suicide?
No.
And did she tell you there were reasons why she thought she wouldn't commit suicide?
Yes.
And what were those reasons?
Her children and her family, her mother.
So after this face-to-face interaction with her and kind of going through her history and having reviewed what you had, the information you had about her, what did you develop as a plan for her while she was at McLean?
I continued with the plan to taper her off Seroquel and to monitor whether her symptoms improved, but also to see if she could sleep while she was off of Seroquel. And to really observe symptoms and mood.
During this first interaction with her, was there any conversation about how long she would stay or what her plan might be after she left McLean?
When we met the first time, Lindsay said that she had her daughter's birthday coming up on the weekend, and that it had been planned months ahead of that date, and she was hoping that she could be there that weekend so she could be with the kids and family who was going to come for the birthday party.
Now, the concept of kind of tapering her off the Seroquel and monitoring her symptoms, did that seem like a realistic goal to you?
Yes.
And now, after having spoken to her and developing this plan, were you also cognizant or thinking about the potential for a bipolar disorder diagnosis? And so how did that affect how you approached this plan to taper?
Again, we were observing for any symptoms that would indicate that she might have bipolar disorder.
And where she had reported that she had issues with sleep, was that also something of concern to you if there was the potential for a bipolar disorder?
Yes.
And reduction of medication, what was the concern for the sleep?
I think people's mental health is negatively affected if they cannot sleep, whether it's bipolar disorder or depression. And so sleep is important.
Okay, and so a person that you might be considering for a bipolar diagnosis with lack of sleep make you watch for symptoms of hypomania?
Yes, sleep deprivation can lead to a bipolar episode, a hypomanic manic episode.
So you wanted to monitor her patterns in her sleep and her mood to see if there was any evidence.
You know what's probably going through the jury's mind? They're probably thinking, oh, sleep deprived. Okay, so maybe she wasn't experiencing the bipolar episode at the hospital, but did she experience a bipolar episode and was, well, I think they're trying to say she was like having psychosis. So could the sleep deprivation led to a short window of psychosis that day?
Of that, correct?
Yes.
In this first interaction where you identified a plan, did you also make a suggestion about a particular medication that she might consider after the Seroquel had been discontinued?
Yes.
What was the alternative medication, if you will?
It was Cymbalta, which is an antidepressant.
And was that something that you intended to prescribe for her while she was there, or was it something that you suggested that she could consider as an outpatient?
It was just a consideration. It would depend on how she was doing after she was off of the Seroquel.
Okay. Now, what about the Valium? Was there a plan to address tapering or weaning her off Valium or an alternative to Valium?
Yes, I switched her from Valium to Ativan.
Okay.
Because it has a shorter half-life. And, in my experience, it manages anxiety well.
And were you aware that she had taken Ativan before?
Yes.
And did she report any concerns about Ativan or benzodiazepines in general?
Yes.
And what was the concern she reported to you?
She stated that her husband had concerns about her being on a benzodiazepine.
During this interaction with her on the January 3rd, did you observe any signs of psychosis?
That's it? What kind of concerns? Can we get more into that?
No.
And in the notes and the interactions with the providers prior to your meeting between January 1st and January 3rd, did anyone ever note any symptoms or concerns for psychosis?
No.
And you're aware that Ms. Clancy was also still in that, what was considered the postpartum period, right? She had a child in May of 2022?
That's a tricky question to answer because different organizations or agencies assign postpartum a different length of time.
Okay, and so in your training experience and your experience as a person who diagnoses,
yes.
Did you consider postpartum as part of what you had to figure out here with this patient? Or was it really not a consideration?
It was.
Okay, and why was it for you?
I mean, she had a child, and the risk of postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis is a serious consideration.
Okay. Now, after this first meeting with Ms. Clancy on the 3rd, were you able to give her, in your own opinion, a diagnosis?
Yes.
And what was that?
You said after the 3rd?
Right.
Okay, so that would mean one meeting.
Yes.
I gave her a diagnosis of insomnia with a mental health condition because one day of observation wasn't sufficient for me to figure out if she truly, to give a solid diagnosis because it sticks with the patient.
Right. Fair to say you just didn't have enough information at that point.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So again, you saw her on January 3rd, and that was approximately 9:15 a.m., right?
If that's what it says. Yeah.
Well, at the top of your inpatient progress note on page 61 of the exhibit, if I say the data service reads 1/3/23 at 9:15, would that be where you would note the time you were scheduled to speak with the patient?
Yes.
Okay. And you're aware that on that same day, on January 3rd, that in addition to meeting with you, that she met with a social worker at 10:07 a.m., right?
Yes, the social worker and I would have met with her together.
Okay, but then the social worker would have their own note if there was any interaction that they were noting, and also a nurse as well.
Yes.
Right? And that on the 3rd, that Ms. Clancy participated in a group at 12:02 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And engaged with a mental health worker at 12:22 p.m., right?
I do know that she engaged with the mental health worker. The times are not something I recall.
If I indicate that the records show she did another group at 2:36 p.m., would that sound right?
Yes.
That she then declined a group at 3:50 p.m.
Yes.
And then saw another mental health worker in the evening before presumably she went to bed 8:52 p.m.
Yes.
Okay. Did you see her on January 4th?
Yes.
And so again, is this the same protocol? You meet, you talk, you discuss. Did you talk to her about how the previous night's sleep went?
Yes.
And how was that night's sleep?
She reported sleeping well.
Well?
I don't remember the exact words, but she said she slept. And,
okay. Yeah. And do you remember having a conversation with her again on that day, January 4th, about going home?
Yes.
And what did she say about that?
Originally, I think we were thinking, we had talked about discharge on Friday, and she stated that she was anxious being in the hospital, and that she wanted to be discharged so she could be home with her family and her children.
And so did she ask to leave earlier than Friday?
Yes.
And when she asked to leave earlier than Friday, what was your response to that?
Whenever I said she could leave provided she had psychiatric follow-up the next day.
And why did you do that?
I wanted to ensure that if she wasn't able to sleep that night after discharge, that she could speak with somebody about it so that they could come up with a plan to ensure she could sleep and to monitor how she was doing off of the medication.
And was there a kind of a secondary reason that you had asked that she make sure she make an appointment before discharge?
Yes, it was also to assess whether she could think clearly and follow directions and get it together. We asked her to set up the appointment herself, and she was able to do that. She responded within an hour. She told the social worker that she had gotten an appointment, and the social worker had asked her for a fax number so that we could we could send the discharge summary, and she provided the fax number as well.
And now on this day that you had met her on January 4th, she reported that she slept well. Do you recall what dose of Seroquel she was down to at that point? Had she reached 0?
On which day?
On the 4th, when you saw her.
I'd have to walk myself through this. So I know she was on 75 milligrams the night of the 1st, 75 milligrams the night of the 2nd. On the night of the 3rd, we decreased it to 50 milligrams. On the night of the 4th, she would have been on 25 milligrams.
Okay. And fair to say that on the 4th, your plan was to continue to taper her so that she would be at 0 for Seroquel, take no Seroquel on Thursday night, right?
Correct.
And that she would be restarted on Ativan, and that she'd have the trazodone available if she needed it.
She was already on Ativan during her admission and was taking it at night. She also had trazodone, which is a sleep medication. It has sedating properties, so it can be used for sleep. So yes, she had the option to take that as well.
And so did you have a concern about her leaving on Thursday the 5th without having monitored her at no Seroquel?
I did not have any concerns about her safety or a risk for anybody else.
Okay, but as far as from a diagnostic perspective, would you have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns and her mood?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said that you didn't have a concern for her safety. So what, in your time that you were with her, that you met with her, and all the information that we reviewed, what were identified as maybe protective factors that made you feel comfortable that she was safe?
She was, there are several things. She was future-oriented. She was clearly invested in her children. She was a caring mother, just like a caring mother. She had her parents around to help her. She had family and supports. We ensured that she would have outpatient psychiatric care for follow-up. She didn't have a history of suicide. She had no history of psychosis, postpartum psychosis. She had a stable place to live.
The statement that she made to you that she wouldn't have completed the act of suicide because of her kids or her mom, was that something that you considered?
Absolutely.
And the fact that during the time from admission on January 1st to the time she was discharged on January 5th, that she didn't make statements supporting suicidal ideation, was that a factor that you considered?
Yes.
And at no time during the time she was at McLean did she ever indicate that she had ever reported or had thoughts of harming anyone else, did she?
had never stated that she had any thoughts of harming anybody else.
And ultimately, at the end of that conversation with her, or the hour later, she was able to secure that appointment that you asked her to on her own.
Correct.
And so knowing that now the discharge has moved up a day, what was your plan for medication for her upon discharge?
She would have continued on the Ativan to help her sleep at night. That was a short-term plan. Once she was feeling better or was able to sleep or her mood came back to baseline, she could taper off of it. She had trazodone to use as needed, and melatonin.
And as far as your recommendations for medication, it would be no more Seroquel. I guess, let me ask that question a different way.
Yes.
You didn't give her...
The reason why we're focusing on Seroquel so much is because December is when I think they upped her dose. I think she told one of the doctors that, hey, Seroquel is not doing great for me. And then Patrick said for some reason, the doctor decided to up her dosage to I could have sworn I heard 400 milligrams. And so December was when Lindsay reported, I guess maybe to Patrick, that she was having thoughts of suicide, but no plans on acting on it. And I think it was also in December, thoughts of harming her children, but again, no plans on acting on it. So that's attributing the Seroquel to all these dangerous thoughts. The Commonwealth, I think where they're getting at is that, well, in beginning of January, she went to this McLean treatment and she was tapering off Seroquel. Therefore, the psychosis, the thoughts of harming her children, herself, would not have been as severe because the Seroquel dosage was low. But I don't like it how I'm struggling to piece this all together. I feel like this should be easy for the jury to do. Kind of tough.
For a new prescription for a different dosage of Seroquel, did you?
No.
And did you advise her to take Seroquel when she was home if she felt that she needed it?
I would assume she would take what I had prescribed.
Just to back up 1 second, as part of this treatment team plan for patients at McLean Hospital, is it fair to say that either you or other members of the team, either a mental health worker, a social worker, or a nurse, sometimes reach out to collaterals in order to try to gather information and assess a patient?
Yes.
And in this instance, are you aware that somebody reached out to Patrick Clancy to speak with him about his wife and her care?
Yes.
And were you aware that he reported that she hadn't ever had suicidal thoughts?
Yes.
And that he actually reported to the social worker that she was concerned about dependency?
Yes.
But she had told you that her husband was concerned. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that he felt that she had succumbed to social pressure to take psychiatric medications because her friends were taking them?
That's what he told the social worker.
And you're aware that he had made statements that he was unhappy with the medical care she was receiving at McLean?
He said, I don't think...
Were you aware that he said he was very unhappy with the medical care she received?
She received, yes. She didn't specify. He didn't specify McLean.
Okay, thank you. And as far as you're aware, the patient themselves, Ms. Clancy, she never complained that she wasn't getting seen by staff or doctors, was she?
She never complained of that.
Did she ever file any sort of complaint with the hospital?
No.
And is there a mechanism for a person to file a complaint if they feel like they're not being treated?
Absolutely.
And is that information posted all over the units?
It is posted on the unit and the forms are available.
And a person, even if they're not on a one-to-one or directly interacting with a mental health worker or social worker, do they always have the ability to request to speak to somebody?
Absolutely.
And so even when maybe somebody from their team is not there or working, is there somebody always on call, a mental health worker, a social worker, a psychiatrist, a nurse, for a person to speak to if they felt they needed to?
Yes.
And in addition to your meeting with her on January 4th, and after coming up with that plan for discharge on the 5th, are you aware that she then continued to engage in groups on the 5th, and that she continued to engage with mental health workers and social workers?
Yes.
And do you recall when she was discharged on the 5th? Was it in the morning or in the evening?
Afternoon, probably around 3-ish is my recall.
Okay. And upon discharge, was she provided with information that she could use when she was home? Like resources?
Yes.
And do you recall that she had asked about resources to find a new doctor at some point?
Yes.
And that she ultimately reported to the social worker that she felt comfortable managing at home?
Yes.
I may have one moment.
Sure.
So upon discharge, what did you actually prescribe her?
A 14-day supply of Ativan and a 14-day supply of trazodone.
Okay. And when you were having conversations with her about her thoughts of suicide or her thoughts of wanting to die, was she expressly asked if she wanted to kill herself?
Yes.
And what was her answer, if you recall?
She denied that.
She denied that?
Yes.
And was she specifically asked if she had a plan to kill herself?
Yes.
And what was her answer to that?
She denied it.
And was she specifically asked if she wanted to harm anyone else?
Yes.
And did she provide an answer for that?
She denied it.
And those are standard questions you would ask at every interaction with her, correct?
Yes.
And prior to discharge, she would also be asked those questions again, correct?
Yes.
Because if her answers changed at any point, it would have changed your plan, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know. I think this adds
Nothing further. Thank you.
could add more confusion.
I'd like to start off just by asking, District Attorney asked you about resources that were provided to her. What were the resources?
We had discussed going on Psychology Today, where
I'm sorry?
she was aware of the website Psychology Today.
Website?
Yes, she was given the name of a case manager through her insurance who she could contact for assistance in finding new providers.
So other than telling her about the website for Psychology Today and talking about her insurance company and what they would allow for her to reach out for what, other providers? Is that what it was?
Can you restate that?
Sure, of course. You referenced her insurance company.
Yes.
I mean, that's a major consideration in medical treatment, is it not? What a person has for insurance?
No.
No?
I don't understand what you mean by that.
You know what insurance is? I mean, as far as like a person paying their bills for medical treatment or psychiatric treatment.
The insurance is important because who you can see is limited by what insurance you have.
So that's what I was asking as far as the insurance. You referenced that on the resources, when the DA asked you about resources, and I asked you what were the resources, and you said going on the website for Psychology Today, right?
Yes.
And that you spoke to her about her insurance, right?
We gave her the name of a case manager who she could contact and her telephone number in case she wanted to find other providers. They would be able to look at their database and figure out what providers would be within the distance she was comfortable with, whether they were male or female, if she had a preference, and if she had any preference about any specialization.
Okay. And in reference to the insurance, what is the insurance? You answered the question about insurance. I'm just asking, what is the involvement of insurance in that offer of resources?
I don't understand your question.
Maybe I didn't understand your answer. That's why I apologize. You had indicated that in addition to telling her to go on the website for Psychology Today, that you spoke about her insurance and other providers that would be permitted, I guess, under her insurance.
Not every patient, the fact that she had a case manager at Blue Cross Blue Shield was an added benefit because they could assist her in finding providers.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
All right. Other than the case manager from Blue Cross Blue Shield and to do research off of the website for Psychology Today, what resources were provided to this woman?
There are numerous resources that are printed on the after visit summary. I don't know each and every one of them, but I think they would be in the medical record.
Okay. And that's something that is provided to a patient when they leave?
Yes.
She came in on a voluntary, is that correct? In other words, I know she was transported by an ambulance, but nevertheless it was that she and her husband Patrick wanted her to be treated at McLean, correct?
She came in and signed in on a voluntary.
In other words, there were no orders of a court, no judge ordering that she be committed or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And she came in on, was it New Year's Eve? January 1st?
Yes.
And do you remember what time she came in?
I think she arrived at the CEC around 4.
Now, would you agree that on New Year's Eve in McLean Hospital, that ward is pretty much running on a skeleton crew?
I can't speak to something I'm not there.
No, obviously you're not there, but what about other people? Was it skeleton crew New Year's Eve?
You would have to ask somebody who was there.
Well, you've worked there for what, 7 years?
5.
5 years. And what is the ward that she was on?
AB1 South.
81 South?
A as in apple, B as in boy, 1 South.
South. And how many doctors work at AB South, on whatever shifts that you may have?
There are 4 psychiatrists assigned who work on AB1 South.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, that's it.
And does that include you?
Yes.
And approximately how many nurses work on AB South?
I wouldn't know, but I know that there is a nurse assigned to each team and that there are 4 teams. Sometimes, yeah, in general.
4 teams on AB South, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say a team, that consists of what? A psychiatrist, a nurse perhaps, or what?
A psychiatrist, a nurse, a social worker, and an assigned mental health worker.
And what are the shifts that this team would work?
There are 3 shifts.
Okay. And would that be like, 7 to 11, 11 to 4, that type of thing?
I think there's 7-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts. I don't know the exact times.
All right. And are you assigned a shift, or do you just go whenever you want?
We are not assigned shifts.
And when she was presented to the hospital, she went through that initial evaluation that you told us about, the CEC. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
CEC, maybe you were talking about the CEC?
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
Sure. When she admitted herself and was escorted onto AB South, that's where she was evaluated?
She was evaluated in the CEC by the psychiatrist. Then she came to the unit and was seen by Dr. Madhwa later the same day. So she met 2 psychiatrists on January 1st.
Okay. So you have a woman that has admitted herself to McLean on New Year's for help, right?
Yes.
And she was evaluated at the CEC. Is that on that ward, or is that a different part of the hospital?
It's a different part.
Okay. And how long does that evaluation typically take?
I can't speak to that. I don't work in the CEC.
What do you do in the CEC? What happens in the CEC? Does this person sit down and they get interviewed, or what do they do?
There's a full psychiatric evaluation.
And a full psychiatric evaluation consists of what?
A chief complaint, a history of, so basically a history of present illness, which would be what brings the person into the hospital.
Okay.
They review past psychiatric history, substance use history, social history, family history. They do a mental status exam, and then they make an assessment.
And they would be the CEC?
Psychiatrist.
And that would be the psychiatrist that you were referring to?
Dr. Outlaw.
Dr. Outlaw. Now, how long does the CEC typically take?
I do not know. It depends on the speed of the person seeing the patient.
I imagine that at some point, a psychiatrist or a social worker or somebody must get into the prior history that the patient had prior to coming to your doorstep, right?
That is a part of the evaluation, yes.
Okay. And you had a chance, as the district attorney asked you, as to whether or not you were able to review the medical records that involved Lindsay Clancy's treatment at McLean Hospital for the 4.5 days, right?
I was able to review the CEC note, which had an excerpt of the MGH evaluation and the notes that were available to me since January 1st at McLean.
Now, as a psychiatrist, I mean, when she goes to the hospital, she's your patient, right?
She's
your patient.
Yes.
Yes. And as a doctor, what you want to do is get all the information that's available on why this person is in your locked ward, right?
Yes.
So did you do inquiry into her prior history, or was that left to the CEC person or the social worker?
That is part of the evaluation.
And the evaluation is CEC?
And when I see her as well.
All right. So do you sometimes, when I say you, I mean you or the social worker or the CEC person, do you talk to people like third party, I think you said third party contacts?
Yes.
All right.
The social worker does.
Okay, so, and you reviewed the record. So when did the social worker talk to the first psychiatrist that she went to see?
The social worker contacted Patrick.
I know you told us that he contacted Patrick, and that Patrick gave some history about the benzodiazepines that he was concerned about, and he thought she wasn't getting good medical care. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. You know that she had medical treatment before she came to McLean?
Yes.
Okay. Who was her psychiatrist?
The nurse practitioner she was seeing prior to coming to McLean, I was aware of that person.
Would that be nurse practitioner Gelada?
Yes.
Did you speak to her?
No,
Did you look at her records?
I did not have access to them.
Why not?
They aren't in the same medical record system.
Well, the same medical record system is just so that you have access to MGH, you have access to Brigham and Women's Hospital, because it's all part of some big computer information access you have. What about other healthcare providers? Can you get access to their records?
Not immediately.
Well, how about if you have a release signed by a patient under the HIPAA law? You know what the HIPAA law is, obviously, right?
Yes.
And just tell me, what does that actually mean, that a patient allows someone to look at their medical records?
Yes.
And Lindsay was very, very cooperative with you guys, wasn't she?
Yes.
Did anyone ever ask her to sign a HIPAA release for anyone to get access to nurse practitioner Gelada's records?
No.
How about psychiatrist Tufts' records?
No.
How about nurse practitioner Paul's records?
No.
Who's Letitia Dukes?
She was a social worker, I think, that Lindsay saw at South Shore at the perinatal program.
Okay. And do you know when she went to the South Shore, Rhode Island perinatal program?
I know it was prior to admission. I don't remember the exact dates.
Do you know what recommendations that she had received at that point?
No, other than the medication.
Do you know what medication she was actually on when she presented to McLean Hospital?
Seroquel and Valium.
What is it?
Seroquel and Valium.
You knew that Dr. Tufts was the first psychiatrist that she actually consulted, correct?
I believe so.
And when again, if you don't know, just say you don't know.
Yes.
Okay. And I think you made reference to the fact, or maybe the DA made reference in questioning you, about the fact that she was looking for doctors for some type of medication or something. Is that fair?
That's a very vague statement. I don't know what you mean.
Okay. Well, actually, she saw Dr. Tufts because Dr. Tufts advertised that she was an expert in perinatal care, right?
Correction.
Overrule.
Oh, sorry. I wouldn't know why she saw Dr. Tufts.
Do you know what medication Dr. Tufts prescribed to her?
From what Lindsay told me, yes.
What?
Zoloft was the first.
All right. So Dr. Tufts, according to Lindsay, provided her, Lindsay, with Zoloft, which is an SSRI, correct?
It's an antidepressant in that class, yes.
Okay, so when you say an antidepressant in that class, the class would be selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, right?
Yes.
And that's pretty powerful stuff, isn't it?
I don't know what you mean by powerful.
No? Well, are you supposed to prescribe Zoloft or sertraline to a person that has bipolar?
I think it all depends on what you're seeing when you see the patient.
All right. So it's important, I would imagine, then, to be fair in your evaluation of this young woman. They came to your hospital for help on New Year's to find out what any evaluations were of her condition, her presentation, her symptomology, when she saw that first psychiatrist, Dr. Tufts, right?
Lindsay was
my bad.
cool.
So there was a testimony by, I think, a psychiatrist who said that if you were to prescribe Zoloft or an SSRI to someone with bipolar, you would also do it in combination of a protector medication. So I guess the assumption is when Lindsay first saw Dr. Tufts didn't think that Lindsay was suffering from bipolar, and that's why she was given this medication. But I think right now, the defense is saying that Lindsay has bipolar and she's on meds right now to manage her bipolar.
Cooperative and...
But when was she diagnosed with? No, she was never diagnosed with bipolar. One healthcare provider, I don't know who, but they had... it was mentioned in today's testimony that they had, like it's possible. I think they considered bipolar disorder. But from what we've heard so far, Lindsay was never diagnosed with bipolar. I'm assuming that she was diagnosed now with, having new representation, and they probably helped her find a new doctor. I think that's what they're saying, that she has bipolar.
She was forthcoming. I had no reason to think that she would not provide us with what other providers thought, just like she told us that Tufts said she was worried about bipolar disorder. And
I apologize.
Yeah.
Tufts advised her that she was worried about?
No, sorry, it was...
Gelada?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
That's all right, no problem. And again, if you have records, you want to look at them, that's fine, because I know it's tough to have all the stuff in your head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so Dr. Tufts prescribed the Zoloft to her, and you knew that right after the initial prescription of Zoloft. Do you know how many milligrams she was prescribed initially by Dr. Tufts?
Lindsay, I think, stated it was 25.
Okay. And then Dr. Tufts increased it to what, 100?
Lindsay said it was increased to 50.
50, all right. So, and again, you're in a, I don't know if it's appropriate to say, but you're in a mental institution, right? That's where you work at McLean
Yes.
Hospital. Okay, and it's a locked ward, right?
Yes.
And she's a patient that's coming to you for help, right?
Yes.
Is it appropriate for a doctor to take what that patient is telling you as a history? Or do you have to verify it or talk to other healthcare providers to make sure that they're not just running off and making something up?
I had no reason to believe that she was not a reliable reporter.
Because she seemed very forthright, right?
Yes.
She seemed very honest in her disclosure of her symptomology, right?
Yes.
One of the things, or one of the tools that you in the mental health field have access to is psychiatric testing, right?
Yes.
Okay. You have, for example, one tool, and I think psychologists, and there are psychologists that are on staff, I would imagine, at McLean as well.
No, not on that unit.
As a psychiatrist, you don't administer psychiatric or psychological testing, do you?
No.
All right. But for example, you've got the Beck inventory test, or what's called the MMPI test. You're familiar with those, right?
These are forms and forms that the patient can fill out.
Right. And one of the tests is the MMPI, which is Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test, right?
I have heard of that.
Okay. And you know that one of the things that it determines is, if they call it the K scale, whether or not somebody is lying or minimizing, or not minimizing, but lying about their symptomology, right?
I don't know much about the scale.
Well, that's a tool that can give someone information as to the person's presentation of their symptomology. That would be important as to their honesty of whether or not they're trying to minimize or whether or not they're trying to falsely project their symptomology, right?
I don't know what you're asking me.
Okay. Were you aware that there were ever any psychological testing administered to Lindsay? MMPI or Beck or anything?
No.
Okay. How many times did she call or reach out to help for a suicide hotline?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be something important to find out, if the person who you're suggesting was denying suicidality or suicidal ideation upon your evaluation, that she called out to suicide hotlines?
She was telling, she told us that she was having suicidal thoughts,
Right.
but had no intent or plan. So I do know that she was struggling with suicidal ideation.
Right. Anybody else that you talked to? Or did you
Patrick.
talk to anybody else?
I know the social worker, Dr. Patrick, and he did give the information he gave.
Okay. So what I'm asking is, as you're investigating the history of this patient, you're not aware, no idea that she had reached out on not one but two occasions to a suicide hotline. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Did you know that when she was first prescribed the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts at 25 milligrams, then increased to 50 milligrams, that she then reported that she was unable to sleep?
She
For
shared
40
that with us. Yeah,
Was that-
sorry, I'm sorry. I
Go
didn't.
right ahead, no problem. What is it?
I'm going to let you finish the question.
Okay, thank you. No big deal. It's just that she reported that she went for 48 hours without sleep.
I don't remember that time quoted. I know she had difficulty sleeping.
You indicated in your testimony that, and I quote, "I would have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns," right? Do you remember saying that?
Following the changes in the medications that we were making.
So sleep pattern would be just what it says, sleep pattern, like you sleep from 9 at night till 7 in the morning, or
Yes.
12 at night, whatever your pattern would be, right?
Yes,
And why is a sleep pattern important for you as a psychiatrist trying to evaluate your patient?
because difficulty sleeping is a symptom of several different conditions, and it can worsen several different conditions.
And
Was she ever considered to have narcissistic personality disorder on top of everything else? Not a popular opinion, but I feel Lindsay was all about Lindsay. This may be in addition to her depression. I was waiting to hear testimony from the nanny, the friends, coworkers, preschool teachers, if there are signs that Lindsay maybe, was a narcissistic person. I didn't really get that. But yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're like, are we seeing, what kind of person are we dealing with? All that we heard so far was that Lindsay had trouble sleeping. Lindsay was a wonderful mother. She was involved in her children's lives. She loved them. She took care of them. No abuse in the kids. But yeah, it's definitely something that we were looking for. Does he realize if he is saying Lindsay presented a reliable source who also appeared normal psychologically, nowhere irrational? So which one is it? If she was going crazy or not? I think for the state, they have to make it clear. I think for the defense, it's okay for them to muddy it a little bit and take either side that might look good for them. So for example, it's like, okay, well, Lindsay being a reliable source, that's good for him because Lindsay is like forthcoming. She's honest. She's trying to get treatment. But at the same time, they're using it as, well, you know, she's a reliable source, but why would you believe her? You shouldn't believe her. You know, you weren't doing your job properly. You should have verified everything, right? So I think it's okay for the defense to muddy it up because then it gives them, you know, the benefit of the doubt of like either way. For the Commonwealth, I think it needs to be clear cut, you know. I don't think there shouldn't be any room for like doubt, like, oh, could it be this? Oh, could it be that? Oh, I don't know.
You know that she had reported severe anxiety, right?
She was struggling with anxiety, yes.
Struggling with anxiety, and she was having not just insomnia, but she had very, very severe insomnia, didn't she?
She wasn't able to sleep.
And you would prefer to have more information about sleep patterns, is what you said. I'm not putting words in your mouth. That's what you said.
I know that we were able to observe her sleep while she was on the unit. Once she left the unit, I would not know how she was sleeping, which is why we referred her to somebody else so that they could continue to monitor her symptoms.
Obviously. So let's put the time that you are observing her or that your social workers are investigating to whatever extent they did, her background. What were her sleep patterns that were important to you prior to New Year's 2023?
The amount of sleep is important.
Yeah, and you said that. You already said I would have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns.
After she was if I was going to continue to evaluate her, I would want to observe her sleep is what I meant.
Oh, so you didn't mean that as an evaluator of her prior medical history, trying to get a history of your patient for purposes of diagnosis and treatment, that you wanted to know what her sleep patterns were. You didn't mean that you meant prior?
The history of whether somebody is struggling with insomnia is important, and the patient can relay that to me.
Okay. You ever heard of patients that minimize their symptoms and lie about their symptoms sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. So it's important to corroborate what the person is telling you, right? I mean, you want to talk to somebody else objective to find out what, if any, evidence there is of symptomology.
And we did that with Patrick.
I'm sorry?
With Patrick?
So when a patient presents and they're talking to us, it is not just about what they are saying. It's about their body language, their eye contact. You can get a sense of whether a person is being honest or whether they're lying. And we are not, we're providers. The patient is there to get help. They're going to tell us what is bothering them and what they're concerned about. That's why they're in the hospital.
This woman was in a locked ward. She couldn't walk off your unit, could she?
That is what a psychiatric unit is.
Right. And she was very sick, wasn't she?
I don't know what you mean by very sick.
Really? You indicated that you would assume that she would take what I prescribed. Do you do that with all of your patients? Assume that when they have mental disease or a defect that they would do what they're told?
If they are cooperative, and they have been cooperative and reliable, yes.
One of the things that's referenced would be she stated that she had intrusive thoughts. Remember that?
Yes.
What were the intrusive thoughts?
From what's stated in the medical record, thoughts of suicide.
Okay. And how often would she have the intrusive thoughts?
I don't recall if the frequency.
Would you agree with me that in addition to anxiety and in addition to inability to sleep, that she was in what was self-described as a brain fog, right?
She complained of feeling, you can complain of feeling foggy.
She also complained about that she felt as if she was a zombie, right?
She did not use those words.
Anybody else use that word describing her in your investigation?
No.
Did Patrick tell you that he was concerned about the medications that she had been prescribed over the past 2 or 3 months?
Yes.
And you knew what the medications were that she was prescribed, correct?
She told us.
She told you, okay. And she told you that she was prescribed, in addition to the SSRI Zoloft, that was increased from 25 to 100, that she was then told...
I was aware that...
I'm sorry, 50.
Correct.
She was then told to stop taking the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts, right?
She reported not being able to sleep, and they agreed that she would not take the Zoloft.
Okay, so the answer is yes. She was told to stop taking the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts, right?
I think you would have to ask Dr. Tufts that
Well, I
question.
will. But I'm asking you, as investigating her.
I know that she stopped taking the Zoloft
Well,
and
so-
that she saw Dr. Tufts, so I assume that they would have come to that agreement.
All right, so as you're evaluating this patient, you're assuming that she voluntarily stopped taking the Zoloft?
Because she wasn't able to sleep and she discussed it with Dr. Tufts.
She did. You knew that.
She told us she did.
Okay. How many patients have you treated, how many women have you treated that were suffering from postpartum psychosis?
I don't recall. I don't remember, but I think it would stick in my memory, so I don't think that I probably have.
You don't think you probably have?
I don't.
So I think when he asked that question, you know what came into my mind? I wonder if it's going to be like a really, really low number or she's going to say 0 because then the jury is like, oh, wow, it is that rare. Okay, interesting. Or maybe it's that rare to detect. Or he might say, you've treated 0 women that had postpartum psychosis. Okay, then that shows me that you have no experience in treating women who suffer from, psychosis. And that's why, Lindsay fell through the cracks.
I don't think I have.
Let's see which way he goes.
It would stick in my memory, so I don't think that I probably have.
You don't think you probably have?
I don't think I have. I haven't seen any.
How about postpartum depression?
Yes.
How many patients have you treated with postpartum depression?
Over the last 20 years, I wouldn't. There are lots of patients I have seen. Okay. I don't keep a record of what diagnoses and what people I see.
Now, one of the things that you, when I say you collectively, I mean psychiatrists, psychologists, use in your evaluations and diagnoses of patients would be what's referred to as the DSM, correct?
Yes.
And that would be, DSM, it means Diagnostic Statistical Manual, right?
Yes.
And it started out with DSM-1, then it went to 2, then it went to 2R, meaning revised, and then there were a number of revisions, and now we're all the way up to DSM-5, correct?
Yes.
And DSM-5, also the most recent would be -TR. What does TR mean?
I don't actually know.
So the DSM.
What has he got there? That's not the DSM. With DSM is a thick boy. Is that the TR? Is that like a supplement?
The Diagnostic Statistical Manual is really, it's about this thick, right? If you have a regular sized book. I just have a little one, but.
He thickums.
I think so.
Okay. Do you rely on or do you use in your evaluation of patients the Diagnostic Statistical Manual?
The diagnoses are based on the criteria that are stated in there.
Okay, so you do use, for diagnosis purposes, what is stated in the DSM, correct?
Yes.
And it's kind of like a cookbook. I mean, it basically tells you what the ingredients of a particular mental disease or defect would be, right?
Yes.
And you know that it's basically a group of people that get together and they discuss what should or should not be included in the manual that psychiatrists and psychologists use to diagnose patients, right?
Yes.
And they try to keep up to date and stay on top of any recent developments, right?
I would assume. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't speak to.
That's all right. So here we are in 2026, not 1928. Is postpartum depression in the DSM?
I think it's a subcategory.
You think it's a subcategory of what?
Depression.
Depression. How about psychosis? Postpartum psychosis in 2026. Is that in this manual?
I don't exactly know where it is.
Have you ever seen it in this manual?
I don't recall paying attention to where it's categorized.
So if you're treating a woman who is, as you put it, postpartum because she had the child, and then you told the jury, well, there's a time frame, a cutoff as to whether or not a person is still postpartum, still subject to mood swings, and still subject to hormone imbalance, and there's a cutoff, is what you said, right?
Different organizations use different definitions.
How about you? You're here for the government testifying in this
I
case.
think ad blockers
What's your
still work
understanding
too.
of the cutoff of postpartum, if there is one in this case?
Organizations use different definitions.
How about you? You're here for the government testifying in this case. What's your understanding of the cutoff of postpartum, if there is one?
For the DSM-5, it is 4 weeks. For ACOG, which is the American Academy of Obstetrics or something, I don't remember what it stands for. It's 12 weeks for the CDC. It's 12 months for the CDC. It's 12 months.
Okay, so CDC would be Center for Disease Control, right?
Yes.
So they're pretty much all over the place as far as the time frame that a woman can still be involved with postpartum symptomology, right?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of a doctor by the name of Meg Spinelli?
No.
Have you read anything about the efforts being made to have the DSM-6 coming out include
Objection.
No, overruled.
That's been in the talks for a long
postpartum
time.
psychosis?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Have you read or are you aware of efforts being made to include postpartum psychosis in the DSM-6 that will be coming out within a couple of months?
I think it's clear that there is question about where it should be placed or categorized.
Okay, so are you aware of any efforts being made to include postpartum psychosis in the DSM-6 when it comes out?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. How vague?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I know that there's question about where it should be categorized and that the DSM is reviewed every time and they try to move things around based on what clinicians and researchers think.
What, if any, impact does the thyroid have on a woman who has just had a baby and is in the postpartum period, whatever they decided it is, 6 months, 4 months, a year? What impact does the thyroid have?
I am not an internal medicine physician. I am a doctor. What I do know about the thyroid is that the thyroid can affect one's mood and anxiety, whether one is pregnant or not.
So is it fair to say that thyroid levels are important in evaluating a woman who is in postpartum?
It's one
Are they going to say that they didn't evaluate the thyroid levels?
tiny component of the entire. It is one component. Okay.
So what does that mean?
It's one of the
It's a tiny component. What does that mean?
Okay. Can you let her finish? Sure. You'll let her finish. Go ahead.
It's one of the tests that can be done when a patient is admitted.
Okay, was it done by McLean Hospital?
No.
What?
No.
Are you aware that your records indicate that she had a thyroid read that are part of the records?
My recall is that the TSH was not from 2022 or 2023.
Right. It was from 2000 and what?
I wouldn't know. You'd have to refer to the record.
So in other words, it was imported into McLean records by, I guess, computer access or something from MGH years before, right?
Things move forward, yes.
I'm sorry?
Labs do populate from the past.
Okay, so in the past, as a psychiatrist, as her treating psychiatrist at McLean Hospital, trying to do an investigation, evaluate this woman to tell her what your diagnosis was and what you guys can do to help her out, did you look at the thyroid reads?
It was one of the labs that I would have reviewed.
You would have reviewed. Okay, as you're sitting here today, do you have any memory about what the thyroid reads were?
It was within normal limits.
And that would be coming from how long before? A year, 2, 3?
I don't remember.
So there were no actual thyroid tests done while she was at the hospital at McLean, right?
No.
What is the Edinburgh EPDS or something like that? What is that?
It's a scale.
A scale. What kind of a scale?
It's a postpartum scale for depression.
And it's used by psychiatrists and psychologists to evaluate the risk factor of a woman who is involved with postpartum, right?
I think it's to assess the level of depression.
In a woman who's involved with postpartum, not some guy that got injured on a soccer field, right?
Yes.
So what does the EPDS mean? I'm probably butchering that. What is that an acronym for?
Edinburgh's postpartum depression scale or something.
Okay. The Edinburgh postpartum depression scale. Was that administered to Lindsay when she was in for the 4 days and a half that she was in your hospital?
No,
Why not?
because we don't necessarily administer scales.
You don't necessarily what?
We don't administer scales.
Why? That's an accepted tool to evaluate a patient as a psychiatrist or a psychologist, isn't it?
It is a tool, but it doesn't in the end determine the diagnosis.
No, of course not, because the doctor who supposedly has access to the person's medical history and all of the other aspects of your evaluation is the one that gives the diagnosis, right?
The psychiatrist makes the diagnosis based on the presentation, the history of the patient.
Right. So far what we've got is a presentation of the patient who was in the locked wards at McLean Hospital, and the presentation was from her, right?
Her presentation is how she presents, how she is observed. It's not what she's telling us.
Well, isn't what she's telling you part of what you consider?
Yes.
Okay. And what Patrick's telling you is part of what you consider?
Yes.
So other than what Lindsay, who was in the locked ward, tells you, and her husband who tells you, what if any, investigation did you do?
We did not do any additional collateral contact.
And you didn't do any tests either, right? You didn't do it. Did you do a blood test?
Psychiatry as a field is not dependent on blood tests. If it was that simple, it would be much better for everybody. It's based on the evaluation of the patient who's sitting in front of you.
So you're suggesting to this jury that it's not a valid medical step for one to take blood from a person who is on a cocktail of drug medications to find out what their levels are?
No, not a regular procedure at all.
Okay. Now, McLean did not take any blood. McLean did not do the Edinburgh scale, but that would be something that you would be interested in, right, as to whether or not anyone else gave her the Edinburgh Depression Scale.
Let me clarify one thing. McLean did draw blood. They did do testing. There was no testing for levels of drugs. Just
right.
let me clarify that. So
that's fine.
Okay.
So they took a CBC or maybe a blood count evaluation, but it had nothing to do with what was on board, as they say, as far as tricyclics, antipsychotics, SSRIs, anything, right?
Like, I wonder if they would clarify and say that, like, the reason why we didn't do that is because we relied on her to do a reliable reporting on what she was taking. Like, if they brought someone in and we were like, oh, we don't know what the hell this person took, maybe at that point they would, I don't know if they would do a, because when you do a blood test, it's not just like, oh, you do a blood test and then you get all these results. You have to seek out what it is that you're looking for in the blood sometimes, like what sort of medication that's in there. I don't know. I don't know how fully detailed it is. Maybe it's just like a general screening that tells you like, oh, this was found, this was found, this was found, this was not found. Or, and then you have to do the comprehensive testing where it's quantified and figure out what are the different levels of it. But I'm assuming that like it's mostly just based on, hey, what do you see, right? What do you see and how this person exhibits their symptoms, and, let's try to treat and see what works for them. Maybe we start from scratch.
Right.
They check for substance.
I actually have a friend who's like, this is like her field right here. I could just ask her.
Of abuse, but nothing else.
Well, there were no substances of abuse in her blood, were there?
No.
But then she's going to ask, oh, what is the case about? I'm like, oh, it's so sad. I don't want to tell you. It's super sad. Because her kids are around the same age when these kids pass away.
I love the tricyclics, the antipsychotics, the SSRIs, the benzodiazepines, the Z drugs that they call some of their categories. They didn't test for that, did they?
Those are not tested on a regular basis.
How about on her basis?
I don't know why I would have tested for those. What would have been the indication?
How about if she presents, and the history that she's giving you is that she was on a number of drugs for that 3-month period or 3.5-month period? Would it be of interest to you as to what was on board in her blood?
Medications have different half-lives. So if she had taken something, it would depend on what the half-life was. If it was a day, it would be out of her system. We would not be able to catch it at that time. It would depend on what she'd been taking and, what was in her bloodstream at that point.
So the admission note that was noted in the medical records would be on page 64 of the medical records that you were presented by the district attorney.
I don't remember what page it's on, but
that's understandable.
Thank you.
All right, refresh the notes.
Can you tell me what Can you tell me what this means when it says clinical summary?
That's the social workers.
Okay.
Can you, Doctor, can you maybe move that microphone just so that...
Sorry.
Can't hear anyone.
That's the social worker's note?
Correct.
And that's what the district attorney was questioning you on when she referred you to symptomology?
Was this a conversation with Patrick? I'm not sure I don't recall what you're talking about.
All right. You can read along with me, all right?
Okay.
Clinical summary says the case was discussed in rounds, and would that be like...
Are we allowed to do this? Read along like that? Okay.
On Grey's Anatomy, you have rounds, and they see patients in the...
Say Grey's Anatomy?
And would that be like on Grey's Anatomy, you have rounds, and they see patients in the rooms and that type of thing? No. What does it mean when it says in rounds?
Reddington, a fan of Grey's Anatomy, confirmed.
Rounds.
Maybe.
It's when we meet in the morning, the social worker, the psychiatrist, the nurse, and the charge nurse, the utilization reviewer.
Okay. So that's why it says on page 63, discussed in rounds, SW and PIC met with Lindsay as part of the intake interview, right?
Yes.
Okay. Presenting problem, then it says HX, that's history, right?
Mm-hmm.
And psychosocial HX history was discussed, correct?
Yes.
At that point, she stated that she was hoping to be home by next weekend for her daughter's birthday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that then she relates her history as far as having a third baby on May 26th. That would be Callan, right?
Yes.
The youngest baby. And she then told you all that 12 weeks after she delivered, the baby wasn't taking the bottle. It was around the time that she was supposed to go back to work. Husband also went back to work, and she was experiencing a lot of, and then someone puts in quotes, situational anxiety. Is that correct?
That's what it states.
All right. So as a result, is that coming from her, or that word situational anxiety, was that her words because it's in quotes, or was that you guys put that in there?
I didn't write that note.
Okay. But you factored that in your investigation, right?
I read it.
Okay. And as a result of this, she subsequently saw a psychiatrist that prescribed her Zoloft, right?
Yes.
And that would be Dr. Tufts, right?
Yes.
And 1 week after prescribing that, it says after 1 week of taking it, that she developed insomnia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's an indication of a reaction that the patient had to the medication that was prescribed to her, being the SSRIs, Zoloft, right?
It could be a side effect, yes.
Could be, okay. And the psychiatrist told her to stop taking Zoloft, right?
That's what it states.
And do you know from your investigation and your evaluation of Lindsay Clancy, when the doctor told her to stop taking Zoloft? It was like, I mean, you can guess, it was like a week later, a couple of days later?
It would be, if I don't recall off the top of my head, but if that information was available, it would be in my note.
Do you know, can you find your note in here? I just don't know how to navigate that.
I'm gonna forward through this.
Would it help you if you had a break or a recess just to look at this?
No, I can find it right now.
Oh, she's gonna find it.
Just right, that's probably not a bad idea. We've been sitting here, kind of missed that morning recess. So we're going to take that at this point, just a short morning recess.
Oh, can anyone read lip here?
Recess. So we're going to take that at this point, just a short morning recess. I'll let all of you kind of stretch your legs a little bit, and then we'll
It seems to be like a nice interaction between the two of them.
come right back. Okay?
Court, all rise. Jurors, close your notebooks, face them on your chairs, please.
All right, so a lot of you guys are not a fan of Mr. Defense Attorney over here.
This way, please.
There are times when I am frustrated with the Commonwealth, and I do wonder to myself that is he the way that he is right now in this courtroom is because of the prior frustration that he's been dealing with the Commonwealth, like in pretrial stuff, maybe? Maybe that's why he's kind of like at his ends right now. It's like, yeah, I'm just over it. I'm just gonna be unhinged because I can't deal with the Commonwealth anymore. I don't know. Or maybe that's why he's a solo practitioner. Maybe it's hard to find people that want to work well with him. I don't know. We're just guessing here. Maybe he's a lone wolf. He prefers to do things do things by himself. Lone wolf Remington.
I should.
Your Honor, can she have permission to take that and look at it, the exhibit, out of the courtroom?
I think it's probably best if you want to look at it, keep that in the courtroom.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you can look at it, but just you'd have to stay in the courtroom.
Okay? All right.
She wants
Damn, no bathroom break for her?
to take a break, as we all do.
Leave it here. All right, so we'll be in a short recess. We'll come back. Great. Thank you.
Court, all rise.
He's really sleepy. I feel like his patience level is like it's already like maxed out or something. And we're only on day 9. Okay, so they go on a long break and dun, 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 dun. Right over here.
They get picked up.
What is happening here? Okay, we got the two old fellas are having a bout.
Get the witness on the back on the stand.
Your Honor, first of all, I want to raise an issue with you, and I think it's really.
He says, Your Honor, first of all, I want to raise an issue with you. Honor says, why don't we?
Stand.
Your Honor, first of all, I want to raise an issue with you, and I think it's
Why don't
really.
we
No, I don't want to go to the sidebar. I really don't want to go to the sidebar.
I need to know what you're going to talk about before.
I want to tell you that they got picked up on a hot mic saying, shut her up during the playing of that autopsy.
Shut her. Oh, okay. I did not hear that. Did anyone hear that? Apparently, people were saying that the state prosecutor was having a hot mic moment where it says "shut her up." I didn't hear it. Also, I know that he's like sick of the whole sidebar stuff because we heard that when He also had a hot mic moment too when the judge was like, okay, let's have a sidebar. And he's like, oh God. But I don't want a sidebar.
Up on a hot mic saying, shut her up during the playing of that autopsy.
All right.
This is not like Handmaid's Tale where you're going to tape them out.
So I'm not doing that at all. I just want to find out what the issue is. There's a lot of privileged issues, and then you can tell me that, and then
The cameraman's like, wait a second. I think we should mute this. The two men are arguing. I did not hear that personally. If you guys did hear it, let me know. Give me the timestamp. But I didn't hear that. Apparently, the autopsy photos were being shown. Lindsay was crying, and then there's a hot mic moment of someone saying, "Shut her up." And the Commonwealth looks very confused at that accusation. Okay, so they're gonna sidebar. Oh man. Listen, this defense attorney was like, no, I want to address it right here so the public can know what I'm addressing about. I think he wanted the public to hear that, for sure. I don't know if it's true or not, though. If there is, I'm sure there'll be a clip somewhere. All right. Yeah, for those of you guys who heard it, can you put the timestamp or just can you post the video in the Discord?
all right. All right, ready for the jury? Yeah.
All right, jury's coming in. Lindsay,
Trial
looking at the
teacher.
jury,
My note.
going through the notes.
Doctor, you'd agree with me that your notes are contained in Exhibit 79, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that you had mentioned is that at the end of Lindsay's treatment at the hospital, she was discharged, ultimately, correct?
Yes.
And that was not against medical advice, was it?
No.
And finally, you had made reference to the fact that postpartum psychosis is a serious consideration for you when you or your staff when you're evaluating a patient in McLean, correct? For
Yes.
postpartum. And one of the recommendations that you made was that she should follow up with other healthcare providers. And if I understand correctly, she actually sent a text or an email or something and confirmed that she did within the hour, right?
She made an appointment with.
It was a strategic thing, in my opinion, because he wants everyone to hear about that hot mic accusation.
Dr. Tufts for the next morning.
Right, and she told you guys that, right?
She told the social worker that.
So she was very responsive to your advice about you should reach out to your provider, and she did that, right?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, counsel, redirect.
Oh, okay. That's it. I thought there was going to be more.
Dr. Goodhart, you're familiar with the discharge paperwork that a patient gets, right?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 146.
All right, back in redirect.
Is that familiar to you?
Yes.
And you know that to be discharge paperwork or what's called the after visit summary for Lindsay Clancy at her stay from McLean, correct?
Yes.
And in this discharge paperwork, there's actually two packets. So it's pages 1 of 6, and then there's another one of 7. You see that?
Yes.
And it gives instructions on if you need immediate help. It gives phone numbers, right?
Yes.
It gives a crisis plan and where to call for the suicide prevention lifeline, right?
Yes.
It gives instructions on what the patient's supposed to do or what you've talked about as far as what to do as follow-up, right?
Yes.
And in this instance, it says, what's next? Call Cassandra Wolfson. Give her a call for assistance with finding community behavioral health providers. And that's identified as the Blue Cross Blue Shield case manager, right?
Yes.
And was that based on a conversation that you had with Ms. Clancy about the fact that she wanted a new provider?
She had a psychiatrist or a prescriber. She stated that she was going to be assigned a therapist by the individuals at the South Shore. And if she wanted to have more options or more choices, she could always call that person to get more choices.
So she was looking for an additional provider?
Yeah.
Okay. And also part of this discharge packet, you see that there's a section that's labeled community services, right?
Yes.
And there are a number of online resources as well as the direction to contact your primary care physician, an insurance company, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so these are resources that were discussed and told and available to her when she was discharged from the line.
Yes.
Now, in addition to the resources that were given at discharge, you're aware she did participate in particular groups that would have given her some information and skills while she was there, right?
Yes.
And those skills were about illness and symptom management, correct?
Yes.
Self-compassion was another one, right?
Yes.
I'm going to object. This is beyond the scope of cross, which is, I think, a legitimate objection. So,
All right. Sustained.
Sustain.
Counsel on cross-examination kept referring to this, the unit at McLean as the locked unit, right? You
Yes.
remember that line of questioning? And fair to say, it is locked for the safety of the patients, right?
Yes.
And in this circumstance with Ms. Clancy, when she arrived from Mass General via ambulance, she voluntarily agreed to be at this locked facility until it was safe for her to leave.
Yes.
Now, when she came in, she was identified, I think you said, as low risk
Yes.
and at the lowest level of checks, correct?
Yes.
And she was very vocal with you about how long she wanted to stay and when she wanted to leave.
Yes.
And you respected that and you worked with her to come up with a plan, correct?
Yes.
And when counsel says she wasn't discharged against medical advice, would you have preferred more time with this patient to assess her symptomology?
objection.
Overruled.
I think you're asking me to go back and do.
At the time, let's talk about the time that you had the conversation with her about leaving
Yes.
early.
Yes.
You said the original plan was to stay till at least Friday, right?
I think I didn't have a set time on when she would leave. I take it a day at a time based on how the patient is doing.
And at the time that she indicated that she wanted to bump up her discharge to Thursday,
Yes.
had you had the opportunity to observe her symptoms for more than a day or two?
Yes.
Had you been able to identify if any of the issues that she came in with were resolved?
Yes.
And so she was sleeping better, right?
Yes.
Was there any indication that her mood had vastly improved?
Her mood had improved. I don't know what you mean by vastly.
Well, did you have enough time to get to the root causes of why she was having the insomnia or why she was feeling numb?
No.
Okay, and so with more time, would that have been something that you could have explored more at least?
Yes.
And you were asked on cross-examination about asking Lindsay Clancy to sign releases, and you said that you did not do that in this case, correct?
Yes.
With more time with a particular patient, is it possible that you could have determined that you needed that more information and then asked her to sign releases?
Objection. Sustained.
Well, as far as your protocol for asking for releases, is it something that you do with every patient?
No.
What are the circumstances that would lead you to ask for releases to be signed?
Again, it's outside the scope of cross objection.
No, overall, that.
It depends on how the patient is presenting, whether they appear reliable, whether their history that they're giving is consistent across different times when they were evaluated. For example, she was evaluated in the emergency department in the CEC, then on the unit by Dr. Madwa and myself. And also we had obtained collateral information from Patrick. And so I didn't feel like there was any urgent need to obtain the collateral from the other providers. And she was telling us what she liked and what she disliked about what the providers were doing.
Okay, and so you were responding to those conversations in
Yes.
coming up with a plan.
Yes.
And again, the team is not just you and your team, but also the patient as well.
Yes.
And during this time period that she was there, in addition to what she was reporting, you were also making observations of her.
Absolutely.
And was there anything inconsistent about what she was reporting to what your observations of her were?
No.
When she arrived at McLean, you were advised of what medication she had been on, correct?
Yes.
And any of the treatment plans that you or any of your colleagues recommended, did they require different medications?
I think the defense attorney should learn how to read not only the jury, but the judge. Jurors don't like what most consider rude to witnesses. Yeah, I would agree to that. It's possible, too, though, that maybe he sees that a jury are perking up more when he's loud and a little bit more sharp with the witnesses. So I don't know. Maybe that's his reading. He's like, oh, they like it. I'm going to keep doing it. Or maybe he's just doing his own thing and he's just, not paying attention to how people might be receiving it.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, you were asked about the blood work.
Yes.
And so you indicated that McLean does draw blood upon admission, right?
Yes.
But that you did not look at the blood work or ask or evaluate it for levels of medications.
Correct.
Was there any reason to do that based on the medication regimen that you were advised that she had been on?
No.
And with your treatment plan as far as medication, would there have been a reason to do that to either verify or not verify that she already had things in her system?
No.
person.
Rerules of medications.
Correct.
Was there any blood? McLean does draw blood upon admission, right?
Yes.
But that you did not look at the blood work or ask or evaluate it for levels of medications.
Correct.
Was there any reason to do that based on the medication regimen that you were advised that she had been on?
No.
And with your treatment plan as far as medication, would there have been a reason to do that to either verify or not verify that she already had things in her system?
No.
You were asked on cross-examination about the defendant reporting that she complained of brain fog or being foggy. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you also recall that she was observed by nurses to have improved memory and improved concentration, over the time that she had been at McLean?
Yes.
You were asked on cross-examination about suicide hotline. And
Yes.
Are you familiar with suicide hotlines?
Yes.
And what do they assess for when you call one?
Risk. And
Interest.
if somebody's calling and they're feeling suicidal, I think the point is for them to send somebody or to help them through it.
So it's a point of intervention, correct? But in order for a person to receive intervention, they have to identify that they have an intent or a plan.
Yes.
And to your knowledge, based on your experience and your conversations with this particular patient, did she ever indicate that she ever said she had a plan?
No.
You were asked some questions about the DSM-5, and I actually have a big version of the most recent version, the DSM-5 TR, meaning text revision. You're familiar with this book?
Thank
It was in Patrick's testimony that Lindsay, when he visited her, Lindsay was just like in a room with other people and they were like playing with like clay or Play-Doh or something like that. And then when I read the lawsuit to you guys, I think that was the same thing too, that she didn't really do much. She kind of just hung around in a room.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yes.
And counsel asked you some questions about postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis and whether they appear here in the DSM-5.
Yes.
Recall that line of questioning? And fair to say they do appear. They're not their own category, correct?
Yes.
But they do appear in conversation of bipolar disorder 1, having major depressive symptoms or episodes, as well as psychosis.
Yes.
And it's very brief mention, but it's in here. Is that correct?
Yes.
And as a psychiatrist, this is just a tool that you could use.
Yes.
What other things do you rely upon when making a diagnosis other than a tool like this?
Observation of the patient, the history that they're relating, the information from family, and other, that's essentially it, and other records if available.
Okay, and you use that information based on your own training and experience
Yes.
to come up with a diagnosis.
Yes.
And your diagnosis, does that have to agree with anyone else?
No.
And when you're treating a patient that comes before you for help at McLean, you're treating the patient in front of you, or you're treating the patient from several months ago?
You take the history into consideration, but you're treating the patient in front of you because that's the presentation.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, Mr. Reddington?
No, thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
All right,
Thank you.
Doctor.
Thank you.
All right. Decent redirect.
Commonwealth calls Dr. Jennifer Tufts.
Oh, Dr. Tufts. Oh my gosh, I have to leave in the middle of Dr. Tufts' testimony. Oh. Right, here comes Dr. Tufts. Dr. Tufts was the first psychiatrist that treated Lindsay. Witness number 58. Dr. Tufts.
JENNIFERTUFTS.
Your date of birth.
December 31st, 1989.
Where do you work?
Astor Mental Health.
And how long have you worked there?
For 3.5 years.
What is your role there?
I'm a psychiatrist.
And how long have you been a psychiatrist?
I've been officially fully licensed psychiatrist for close to 4 years.
I want to ask you if you could just explain to us your educational background and your training background that qualifies you to be a psychiatrist.
Absolutely. So I went to medical school at University of Vermont, graduated in 2018 with an MD. I did a postgraduate training in psychiatry at Boston Medical Center. That was 4 years, going into 2022. And then I began working at Astra Mental Health in 2022.
And are you a licensed psychiatrist in Massachusetts?
Yes.
While you were working at Astra Mental Health, did you have a patient named Lindsay Clancy?
Yes.
So by the time that she saw Lindsay, that was her first year working at Astro. After graduating from her postgrad at Boston Medical. Okay, so she was like pretty new.
And
man, what a way to start your career.
At this time, Your Honor, I'd move to submit the records of Lindsay Clancy for Astra Mental Health as the next exhibit.
Any records? They may be admitted.
Do you recall when you first saw Lindsay Clancy as a patient?
Yes.
When was that?
It was in September of 2022.
And was that first appointment on September 15th, 2022?
I believe that it was.
And prior to a patient coming in for their first appointment, is there paperwork that they fill out, either online or that's provided to them to fill out?
Yes.
And what type of paperwork is that?
It's fairly extensive. It includes past health history, past psychiatric history, medications they have taken in the past. It includes names of any therapists or other doctors they work with, usually primary care. It includes any report of substances that they may use or may have used in the past. It includes a number of scales, so scales assessing things like anxiety, depression, ADHD. So it's a fairly lengthy document.
Are you aware that Lindsay Clancy filled out those documents on September 12th, 2022, 3 days prior to her first appointment?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to review what Lindsay filled out prior to meeting with her for that first appointment?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall what you learned from those documents about her prior mental health treatment?
Yes.
What was that?
That she had previously taken some medication. I believe it was in nursing school. It may have been fairly brief, but she had tried the medication Prozac.
Do you recall that she also listed that she had tried Wellbutrin as well while she was on the Prozac?
That was listed as well.
Okay. And do you recall that when she listed that she took
So history of depression, maybe?
the Prozac and the Wellbutrin while in nursing school, she listed that she had no side effects from those medications?
That is correct.
Prozac, is that an SSRI?
Yes.
Okay. So Lindsay reported that she had previously taken an SSRI while in nursing school with no side effects, correct?
Correct.
Did she also report that she had no history of any kind of abuse that had occurred to her at any point in her life?
Correct.
What did she report in regards to alcohol consumption?
I believe she reported 1 to 2 drinks at a time, and possibly up to 5 times a week.
And is there a portion when the patient fills that in, how much they drink? Is there a question there about whether they feel guilty about that?
Oh,
yes.
I never heard that.
And what was her response?
Am I allowed to go check that just to make sure?
Is there an objection to her reviewing the records?
Yes.
I always feel guilty when I drink. Like, oh, the calories, the hangover.
She indicated yes.
And so in that section, is it correct that she listed that she was drinking 5 times per week and feeling guilty at that time about it?
Yes.
And did she list her height as 5'6" in those documents? I believe on the same page, page 20.
Yes.
Now, did those that initial survey or questionnaire that she filled out get into what symptoms she was experiencing at the time?
Yes.
And what symptoms did she report experiencing at that time?
Anxiety attacks, decreased appetite, depressed mood.
Yeah, I was paying attention to her educational history. So she graduated with an MD in 2018, and then post-grad for psychiatry thing at Boston Med, 4 years, 2022. So that was her first year working. And that's why I was like, ooh, man, what a way to start, because you already got this like lawsuit looming over you.
Easily.
But I don't know, maybe doctors are used to it. Maybe this happens a lot, you know, when patients try to sue you. Did she say 1989? 1989. Yeah, I guess 1989 could make sense. I didn't hear the birthday part. Let me go back.
Distracted, excessive worry, guilt, unable to feel pleasure, unable to fall asleep, and racing thoughts.
And would it be fair to say that there's a checklist of symptoms and the patient checks off which ones they're experiencing, correct?
Yes.
And so on that list, engage in risky behaviors, that was not checked off, correct?
Correct.
And excessive energy wasn't checked off, correct?
Correct.
Feelings of hopelessness, feelings of abandonment, feelings of emptiness, none of those were checked off, correct?
Correct.
Impulsive behavior, that was not checked off, correct?
Correct.
Now, was there also a suicide risk assessment form that Ms. Clancy filled out?
Yes.
And what is a suicide risk assessment?
Well, it assesses various factors that may increase a person's risk of committing suicide.
And the form that Ms. Clancy filled out, the first question is, have you been so distressed you seriously wish to end your life? And her response was no, correct?
I'm just looking.
Page 23.
Correct.
And the second question is, has anything happened recently to make you feel you don't want to live? And her answer was no, correct?
Correct.
There's question 3, a specific plan. Do you have a specific plan of how you would kill yourself? And her answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Fourth question is access to weapons or means of hurting yourself, and the answer is no, correct?
Correct.
The fifth question is made a serious suicide attempt, and the answer was no, correct?
Correct.
The sixth question, purposely done something to hurt yourself. Again, no, correct?
Correct.
Seventh question, heard voices telling you to hurt yourself. Her answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Oh, you're right. 1989. So she's like 36 years old. Right
Number
now.
9, having thoughts of
She
killing
looks younger than that, actually. She looks like she's in her mid-20s.
or seriously hurting someone else. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Number 10, heard voices telling you to hurt others. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Hurt someone or destroyed property on purpose. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
In fact, the answers to every question on this suicide checklist was no, correct?
Correct.
Did you, was there also a substance use assessment form that was filled out on page 24?
Yes.
And there were no issues with substance use, correct?
Correct.
Did you, is there also an ADHD self-report scale that's filled out?
There usually is.
Direct you to page 25.
Okay.
And ADHD, is that attention deficit hyperactive disorder?
Yes.
And given the answers that Ms. Clancy gave on that self-reporting form, were there any concerns about attention deficit hyperactive disorder?
Not significantly.
Were there any concerns at all?
Well, she reported often to some of the questions. Yes.
And is that significant to you based on your training and experience?
You have to look at this form within the entire picture of the patient. So no, I didn't suspect that Lindsay had ADHD.
So these forms are a tool.
I mean, I think it depends on how severe your postpartum depression is. If it's like very, very severe and it's really hard for you to get out of it, then you might consider that, you don't want to go through the pregnancy again. But if it was, something that you were able to overcome and having another child is worth it, then I can see why people make that decision. Yeah.
And you use them together along with your observations of the patient to come to conclusions. Is that correct?
Yes.
There was also I believe it's entitled a GAD screening. Is that generalized anxiety disorder?
Yes.
Okay. And did Ms. Clancy fill that out as well?
Mm-hmm.
Page 27.
Sorry, my pages are a little bit different than yours.
Oh, I apologize.
I'll find it. Okay.
Ms. Clancy's answers to these questions, did they give you cause for concern based on your training and experience?
They were highly suggestive of anxiety and an anxiety disorder.
And for example, number 1, feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge, she responded nearly every day, correct?
Correct.
Not being able to stop or control worrying, she answered nearly every day, correct?
Yes.
And so several of these questions were either nearly every day or several days, correct?
Yes.
I apologize. Can I just ask what page that is?
27, I'm sorry. And then is there also a patient questionnaire that the patient fills out? I think it's...
yes, I believe so. Yes.
And what is the purpose of this patient questionnaire?
I'm not sure exactly which one you're referring to. It might be the one that asks about things like whether the symptoms affect their daily living, what their history is. Is that what you're looking at?
It's entitled Tools-PHQ-9 Patient Questionnaire. And the date is 9/12.
I just want to go over and show her.
Are you able to? Thank you.
Yes. Form that's entitled PHQ-9 Patient Questionnaire. What is the purpose of that form?
It's a screening tool for depression.
Okay. And can you talk about the defendant's answers to those questions and what they told you based on your training and experience?
That's true too. It's also easy to forget how postpartum depression affected you. Yeah, because like sometimes when you're going through it and then you get out of it, you're like, oh, well, actually, maybe it wasn't so bad, right? And you go through it again, you're like, oh my God, why would I go through this? It was so terrible. Like, what was I thinking?
Some of the answers were positive, so that really indicates that she should be assessed for depression. She might have it.
Okay. And when you say positive, what do you mean by positive?
So, for example, she said for number 2, feeling down, depressed, and hopeless, more than half of the days, a positive response means indicating yes.
So it's not a positive, happy response. It's a positive, this might be an issue response.
Yes.
And on the next form, A1, initial diagnostic assessment.
Yes.
There is a place there, again, well, this is for September 15th, the day you actually met her, correct?
Yes.
So the patient fills out the forms in advance of meeting with you. Do they then again fill out the forms when they meet with you?
No, these are the same forms.
Same forms, just the different date on them?
Yes, because they're included in the intake note, which is what I write, but some of the information is from the patient's self-report.
Okay. So would it be a combination of the forms they fill out and then what you observe and ask about during your initial meeting?
Yes.
And that initial meeting with Ms. Clancy, was that in person or was that a telehealth?
Telehealth.
Okay. Does who controls whether it's an in-person meeting or a telehealth? You or the patient?
Both.
Both. And if a patient told you, I don't want to do telehealth, I only want to do in person, is that an option?
Yes.
What I'm stuck on is that she told her husband she thought about hurting the kids and they refused help from the parents to take the kids for a while. From Patrick's testimony, she mentioned the thoughts of harming the children in December, like I think beginning of December or middle of December. But by the time that she went to McLean and came out, it seems like things were getting more positive, like things were getting better. She was tapering off the medication. She was on other meds. It seems like she was doing better. And so a month later, when the parents asked, like, hey, do you want us to take the kids for the day so you guys can have some alone time? And they're like, no, maybe it's because they thought things were better. And then in terms as to, I think they were helping her, but also pushing her to be okay. And she was not honest at how desperate she was. Yeah, I think it's also a possibility that maybe she started feeling like she was a burden to other people. And that's why she didn't want to be as honest with how much she was struggling to her husband anymore, maybe to her family, to her friends. I don't know. Because I feel like people do experience that, right? Like you're suffering a lot. And yes, you should be transparent with the people around you. But at sometimes, you feel bad and you're just like, shit, like, am I just like stressing everyone out around me? Maybe it's not a big deal. I don't know. These are the things that goes through my mind when I'm thinking about like, okay, why why do we get rid of the nanny, for example? Why not keep the nanny around? Oh, maybe she felt guilty that she was not making money. She was staying at home. She was spending money. And that, if she were to have a nanny and stay at home, then it just would show that she's a bad mother. I don't know. These are the things that I'm thinking. I'm just like, man, like it's tough. There are just so many different scenarios and what ifs to entertain. I don't know. It's just so easy in hindsight to be like, oh, do this, do that. You should have done this, right? And I'm sure, the family members, Patrick, live with a lot of regrets. I'm sure they run through that scenario in their head so many times. Like, how could they have done things differently? They should have done this. They should have done that. Yeah. I mean, these are 3 children that were killed. So it's not like you're just like, okay, well, I did what I could. Move on next, right? I'm sure that runs through their mind all the time, especially if you love those children.
Good.
Sorry.
I'll let that stand.
I don't know. That's why it's all so confusing, right?
And can you just tell us when you met with Miss Clancy on that first day, did you ask her questions such as, do you have suicidal intent?
Yes.
What was her response?
That she did not.
Did you ask her if she had homicidal intent?
Yes.
What was her response?
That she did not.
Did you ask her if she was experiencing any auditory hallucinations or visual hallucinations?
Yes.
What was her response?
She did not.
Did you ask her questions to determine if she was experiencing any symptoms of mania?
Yes.
What types of questions do you ask to determine that?
Well, a lot of it can be assessed without asking, but questions may look like, have you ever had a period of time in your life where you were excessively energetic and euphoric? I might leave it there and then follow up with some of the other symptoms.
Did any of the questions you asked Ms.
Lindsay had a lot of resources to have help with the kids, home. Patrick worked at home, nanny, parents, in-laws, aunts, doctors, therapists, friends. I raised my kids as a single parent without her perks. And I think a lot of people were in your shoes too. They're like, I was a single mother or single father and I had to do it myself. I had a bunch of kids, It was the same thing with my mom too. My mom had 3 children. We're all around similar age, divorced, unfortunately. And it was really tough for her. So I think a lot of people are in, your shoes and they're probably thinking the same thing that nowadays parents, I see all my friends who have kids now, they do have a lot of resources, right? They tend to have the money to be able to hire a nanny. They tend to have relatives around to help them and stuff like that. But that really just goes back to, was Lindsay just struggling that much mentally? Was she just that, not right in the head where she wanted to get better no matter what she did? And she had all these resources, but still, this was still the outcome. I think that's going to go to the jury's mind for sure. All right, guys. So I hate to do this. They are going to break in probably, I think maybe an hour or so. Actually, no, they should be breaking right now for lunch. So they're going to probably break in 15 minutes for lunch and they'll be back at 2:00. I have to leave right now. I'm so sorry. I have a road trip that I have to do. And the initial plan, because I didn't realize that we're going to have this important testimony today. The initial plan was that my husband was going to go and then he was going to come back and pick me up. Then we would go. But then I realized that he would be on the road for 7.5 hours. And I was like, So I'm sorry, guys, I have to go. But I would do a recap on this. I'll be listening to this in the car, taking my notes and all this stuff. And I would do a recap. In case you guys miss it or in case you guys are curious, what I think about the trial so far. So go check out Law and Crime. Go check out Court TV. Court TV, their chat maybe less crazier because I think it's like members only. Law and Crime, you know, you're out in the Wild West. So, but yeah, go check it out those channels. I think even East Idaho News is also streaming this. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out and thanks for being here. I appreciate hearing your guys' thoughts, opinions, and all your different experiences that you guys have in your own personal lives and bringing it into this trial, because this is not an easy trial. This is a very difficult one. And a lot of people don't want to feel like, they're in the camp of like, we don't want to have sympathy for Lindsay. Fuck Lindsay. She killed 3 kids, right? But then at the same time, it's like, okay, well, is this one of those cases where the psychosis happened? And is this one of those rare cases where she wasn't criminally responsible? Or is it another bullshit case where someone feels like this is their last resort? It's one of those things where it's like, man, it's a tough call. It's a tough call because we just don't have that overwhelmingly amount of evidence so far, right? Maybe there's more witnesses, but so far that Lindsay was abusive, that she hated her kids, that she was not an involved mother, that she, was not, typically other cases you just see like signs of child abuse and that the person was just like checked out, whether or not it was for monetary reasons, maybe they wanted a life insurance policy on their kids, or whether or not there was a new affair happening and they wanted to leave this old life. We're just not seeing that here. And that's why I think it makes this case very fun. All right, guys. So enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy the rest of your, watching the trial. And I will check in with you guys in a video later on. All right. See you guys later. I'm so sorry I have to leave. Bye.